Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing, lingering sadness as he recounted his tale. Hearing news of Laboon had made him incredibly emotional. Trusting Rowan and the Straw Hats completely, Brooke had shared everything he had endured. For so many years, Brooke had been utterly alone. But now, even without seeing Laboon yet, Brooke felt a warmth in his heart, a feeling of no longer being alone. Ah! Though I have no heart, only a pile of bones. Hearing Brooke's story, everyone's perception of him changed. So that's how he ended up in this state. The power of the Revive fruit. Rowan mused, feeling the newly equipped ability, a smile playing on his lips. VMM. A strange ripple emanated from Rowan. Brooke felt a familiar sensation, a tremor that resonated deep within his own soul. His skeletal eye sockets widened in shock. The Revive fruit? But why? Brooke subconsciously checked himself. His own Revive fruit ability was still present. Yet the aura radiating from the man before him was unmistakably the very same power that had resurrected him. Rowan is the world's strongest devil fruit user. He can possess unlimited devil fruit abilities. Vivi declared, tilting her chin up proudly. Basically, Rowan has various ways of obtaining other people's devil fruit abilities, Sanji added, seeing Brooke was still confused, and casually showed him Rowan's wanted poster. Towards Brooke, who had a connection with Laboon, Sanji and the others felt a natural affinity. A wanted poster. How nostalgic. Brooke took the familiar poster and looked at it. A single glance. And he was utterly stunned. The world's strongest, most vicious devil fruit user. The man who can steal everything from others. The world's most dangerous man. Engaging him is forbidden without express orders from the world government's highest authority. The Fifth Emperor, Sky Sovereign Rowan. Bounty, 3,988,900,000 Bailey? Brooke shrieked, his very soul nearly jumping out of his bones from shock. His own bounty was a mere 33 million Bailey. Not even a fraction of this man's. Though his bounty was from 50 years ago, current bounties were generally much higher due to inflation. But nearly 4 billion Bailey? Brooke hadn't just never seen such a number. He'd never even heard of one. And look at the description. The world's strongest devil fruit user. The world's most dangerous man. The Fifth Emperor. Even the world government itself was forbidden from engaging him without permission from the highest authority. Though in Brooke's era, the four emperors didn't exist yet, just the title and these descriptions, combined with that scary bounty, proved what a colossal figure this man was. Laboon. Knows this great man? That's right. Rowan is a true super great pirate. Usopp puffed out his chest, laughing boastfully. And just so you know, I am hailed across the seas as the reliable right-hand man of the Fifth Emperor. Usopp the Brave. The man with a 200 million Bailey bounty. Usopp declared, pointing to his long nose, sweating slightly from his own bravado. Claiming a 200 million bounty was still a bit nerve-wracking for the naturally timid Usopp. SSUG. Brooke's exaggerated reaction, however, instantly filled Usopp with immense satisfaction. So this is what it feels like to be a great pirate. Just the bounty alone can shock people so much. Oi! Don't get carried away. You're the one with the lowest bounty here. Sanji commented, gently tapping Usopp on the head with his foot. Sorry. Usopp immediately apologized meekly. Be lowest? 200 million Bailey is the lowest? Brooke was stunned again. What kind of pirate crew did I just run into? A 200 million Bailey man is the lowest here? But then, looking at the man with the nearly 4 billion bounty, Brooke felt it was perfectly reasonable. By the way, we also have a promise with Laboon. Nami interjected. Rowan knew you were still alive because of his natural connection to devil fruits. When we told Laboon, he was overjoyed. We promised Laboon we would find you and bring you back to him. Nami herself marveled at how things worked out. As always, whatever Rowan said would happen, happened. They really had found Brooke of the Rumbar Pirates. Laboon is still waiting for me. He knows I'm alive. Brooke was overcome with emotion. He didn't doubt Nami's words for a second. Mr. Rowan being able to use his Revive fruit power was the best proof. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Brooke murmured, his eye sockets moist. The revive fruit allowed even a skeleton like Brook to experience digestion, absorption, and even shed tears. At this moment, Brook's gratitude towards Rowan and the Straw Hats was beyond words. If not for them, who knew what might have happened to Laboon? Shishishi. Then allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Monkey D. Luffy. The man who will be king of the pirates. Bounty, 1,035,000,000 Bailey. Luffy grinned. 1 billion? Though shocked multiple times already, Brook's eyes still widened at the terrifying number. Anyway, be our comrade. You want to see Laboon again, right? Fulfill that promise. To circle the Grand Line and meet him again. We also made a promise to Laboon. To circle the world and bring you back to him. Luffy declared with a wide grin. A musician. This was one of Luffy's greatest dreams since setting sail. And now a skeleton musician. And it was Brook. The one Laboon was waiting for. There could be no musician more perfect for their crew. Because of the connection to Laboon, everyone else quickly accepted Brook, smiling warmly at him. I'd love to go. But I can't leave this place right now. Brook's skeletal shoulders slumped, his earlier joy replaced by dejection. What's wrong? Sanji frowned. This was the second time Brook had said this. Sanji's observation hockey, now quite decent, could sense Brook's emotions. Previously, when Brook agreed to join, it wasn't entirely serious. He was lonely and just wanted to travel with a new crew for a while, intending to stay behind after they left the Florian Triangle. But now, because of Laboon, Brook genuinely wanted to go with them. His current words were filled with real disappointment and despair. Everyone. Look at my feet. Brook said, pointing down. Huh? Everyone except Rowan looked, their eyes widening in shock. No shadow? Chopper and Usopp shrieked, clinging to each other. That's right. My shadow was stolen. If I'm exposed to sunlight, I'll vanish. I was defeated by a very strong enemy. I didn't even see his face. Just his zombies. Brook murmured, his voice filled with frustration. He desperately wanted to see Laboon, to fulfill that 50-year-old promise. Not just for himself, but for all his fallen comrades of the Rumbar Pirates. Having experienced death and resurrection via the revive fruit, Brook truly believed in the existence of souls and the afterlife, believing his friends were watching him from above. Brook felt his skeletal body fill with unprecedented strength. The desire to carry his friends' will, to complete their journey and meet Laboon again. But alas! Without his shadow, he could only survive in this perpetually misty Florian Triangle. The Parimsha-type shadow fruit. Its user is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Gecko Moria. Rowan stated calmly. A warlord of Moria's level. Was now true fodder before Rowan. However, Moria's subordinate possessed the clear fruit, a rather interesting ability worth acquiring. After all, the clear fruit was a man's romance. Plus, plundering Moria's warlord fortune would also yield some benefits. A warlord? Hearing this, the crew showed little reaction. Leave that warlord to me. Luffy grinned. Oi, Luffy. We want a piece of that warlord's head too. Sanji and Zoro also cracked their knuckles. A warlord's head was still quite valuable on these seas. And Rowan had declared in Mocktown that he would dismantle the warlord system. This warlord showing up on their doorstep was a perfect gift for Rowan. Having received so much help from Rowan, they certainly wouldn't miss this opportunity to present him with a tribute. That man is very strong. Brook cautioned. Relax and leave it to them. Don't let their idiotic looks fool you, they're pirates with bounties of 600 million and 550 million. Marine headquarters vice admirals are no match for them. Nami explained with a smile, pointing at Zoro and Sanji. Vice admirals? Brook stared, dumbfounded. He had been shocked by the bounty figures but had no clear concept of their combat strength. The Rumbar pirates hadn't even completed the first half of the Grand Line, their knowledge was limited. But Marine headquarters vice admirals. Brook had heard of them. A marine of that level. Their Rumbar pirates wouldn't even have been qualified to meet. Yet Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji could defeat them? As for Rowan, he's the man who has defeated 2 Marine headquarters admirals. Nami added, puffing her chest out proudly. Admirals? Brook's soul almost flew out of his skeleton. In any era, Marine headquarters admirals were the highest combat power of the world government and the Navy. Those super powerhouses. Defeated by Mr. Rowan? 2 of them. No wonder Mr. Rowan had a huge bounty. I'm the captain. The warlord's head is mine. Luffy declared, hands on his hips. Wham! He was instantly kicked away by Zoro and Sanji. Don't get ahead of yourself. Trying to pull rank on us? Have you forgotten how much trouble you've caused? Zoro and Sanji roared, transforming into their sharp-toothed angry states. Though Rowan was around, Luffy's recklessness still caused plenty of trouble on their voyage, with Zoro and Sanji often being the biggest victims. For example, Zoro would often be woken up by Luffy's haphazard rubber abilities crashing into him. Sanji's ingredients were frequently stolen by Luffy. Luffy, as in the original story, immediately backed down. Anyway, the warlord's head is first come, first served. Zoro and Sanji rolled up their sleeves. Rowan. We still need you to find the warlord's location. Zoro and Sanji then looked sheepishly towards Rowan. No rush. First, let me see the true power of this revive fruit, Rowan stated, the aura of the revive fruit within him growing stronger, a netherworldly, ghostly light flickering in his eyes. True power? The crew swallowed hard. Brook was also stunned. Mr. Rowan hasn't even died yet. How can he use the revive fruit's power? Before he died, the fruit did absolutely nothing for him. Rowan felt the power of the revive fruit, the netherworldly light in his eyes intensifying. Just as Brook thought, the revive fruit was very special. Initially, it did nothing. Only upon the user's death did its ability activate, resurrecting them once. But even after resurrection, the user's very essence changed. The true body of a revived revive fruit user was their soul, not their flesh. Though Brook, thanks to the fruit, could cry and digest food, his true form was his soul. He couldn't learn armament hockey because his physical body was dead. His movements were powered by his soul energy. 2 years later, Brook's enhancements all stemmed from infusing his attacks with his soul energy. A resurrected revive user was essentially a soul that could walk the mortal world. But Rowan's revive fruit power was equipped directly from Brook. An already activated revive fruit, appearing in a living person for the first time. This had never happened before on these seas. At this moment, Rowan could be called a man of the underworld. The desire within the revive fruit was also unique. Only someone who had truly experienced death and resurrection could comprehend the underworld. This was why its power only activated after death. No matter how much one imagined it, one could never truly understand death without experiencing it. Rowan had equipped Brook's very essence of having experienced death and resurrection. That underworld essence. Synchronously. Feeling that profound essence of death and rebirth within him, Rowan smiled. Awakening conditions met. Revive fruit. Awakened. Chapter 166, Bonus, Cancer Gold Saint Rowan. Hisashiburi Dana, Crocodile. The revive fruit was incredibly unique. Its primary condition for activation was the user's complete death. After rebirth, the user became a soul walking in the mortal world. Their deceased body was merely a vessel. Even if Brook hadn't found his body for a year, that dead flesh wouldn't have provided him with any energy. A dead body's physical energy completely dissipates. Because of this uniqueness, the awakening conditions for the revive fruit were also extremely harsh. A soul returning from the underworld already had a sufficient understanding of its essence. But because they lacked the physical energy to fuel an awakening, it required an immensely powerful soul to unleash the fruit's true power. A revive fruit user could only use more of the fruit's abilities, and thus awaken it, by continuously strengthening their own soul. However, Rowan was different. He was a living person. His physical energy was incredibly abundant, already at the apex gold tier. He had more than enough physical energy to supply the revive fruit. Such a thing had never happened before on these seas. A living person possessing an already activated revive fruit ability. And with both the required energy and the underworld essence fully sufficient. This revive fruit awakened. VMM. A strange ripple emanated from Rowan's body. Whoosh. 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 The Florian Triangle. As a mandatory passage on the Grand Line, hundreds of ships vanished here every year. Over the ages, countless skeletons lay buried in its depths. Most of their souls had passed into the underworld. But a soul wasn't a monolithic entity. Big Mom's soul fruit, capable of extracting portions of a soul based on years to steal lifespan, proved this. Portions of a deceased person's soul, due to lingering emotions like attachment, could remain in the mortal world. And at this moment, the awakened revive fruit's power was unleashed. These residual souls began to manifest from all corners of the Florian Triangle. The awakened revive fruit could manifest the souls remaining in the mortal world. As so many souls, Chopper and Usopp clung to each other, trembling, tears streaming down their faces. Nami also felt a chill, but thinking this was Rowan activating his devil fruit power, she calmed down. Though she was timid, she had complete faith in anything Rowan did. So what if their souls? Rowan is controlling them. Amazing. Is this the true power of the revive fruit? Brook stared at the surrounding souls, utterly stunned. An ability targeting souls? Rowan murmured, feeling the power of the revive fruit within him. The revive fruit, like Big Mom's soul fruit, possessed power over souls. But the soul fruit was about control. Extracting souls, infusing them into objects to create homies, even elements like thunderclouds, creating Zeus, extracting lifespan, or even using one's own soul for healing or a power boost. The Revive fruit's soul power was different. It had only one focus: destruction. The soul power of a Revive fruit user could directly destroy the souls of others. It was a powerful counter to the soul fruit, capable of truly harming Big Mom's homies or inflicting substantial damage to Big Mom's own soul power. Gather. An otherworldly, ghostly light blazed in Rowan's eyes. Under the Revive fruit's power, all the surrounding souls converged onto Rowan's fists. Soul infusion attack. A power unique to the Revive fruit user. These souls, drawn from the underworld, radiated a shocking chill. Unlike the freezing aura of the ice fruit, this was the chill of the underworld itself. Capable of freezing a person's very soul. A body frozen by the ice fruit could be thawed and recovered. But once one's haki was breached, anyone completely frozen by this underworld chill would have the frozen parts of their body instantly shatter. Because their soul in that area had been completely frozen and pulverized. Killing an opponent on a fundamental, spiritual level. This was the true power of the Revive fruit. And Rowan could do more. He still possessed a bomb fruit. He could make these infused souls detonate. This ability. Rowan's eyes flickered. It was similar to an ability from the Saint Ce manga on Earth. The Cancer Gold Saint Managoldo's ability to attack using soul explosions. Seiki Shikim Kai Ha, pressed underworld waves. The more souls gathered, the greater the explosive power. New ultimate technique trait, Seiki Shiki Kanso Ha, pressed soul burial waves, Apex Gold. Another Apex Gold tier ultimate technique trait. Rowan felt no guilt about making these souls explode. They were merely residual fragments left in this world, their main essence already in the underworld. Wait a minute. Rowan's eyes narrowed. If the bomb and Revive fruits could create an ultimate technique trait like Seiki Shiki Kanso Ha. Then what about combining the Revive fruit with his other abilities? Like the door and munch fruits. Whoosh! An air door opened before him. Combining the door, munch, and Revive fruits. 3 devil fruit abilities. The door opened. VMM. A frightening suction force emanated from the door, devouring all the surrounding souls. Just like the Cancer Gold Saint's signature ability. Seiki Shikim Kai Ha. Mr. Rowan. It's pulling my soul. Brooke cried out in horror. Though Rowan wasn't targeting him, Brooke, whose very essence was a soul, felt a primal terror. How does it feel to you guys? Rowan asked, looking towards Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy. Very strong. I have to coat my entire body in haki. I feel like my soul is being pulled out. Zoro replied, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Sanji and Luffy nodded in agreement. What a scary ability. And Rowan wasn't even targeting them. Otherwise, this horrifying ability could directly suck out their souls. Their haki wasn't strong enough to resist the combined power of 3 devil fruits. Rowan smiled. This ability was far more domineering than the soul fruit. The soul fruit needed its target to feel fear before it could extract their soul. It was ineffective against strong-willed individuals like Jinbe. But this combination of the door, munch, and Revive fruits. This Seiki Shikim Kai Ha. Could directly devour the souls of others. Anyone without sufficiently strong haki would have their soul instantly devoured. An Apex Gold tier ultimate technique trait. Anyone without Apex Gold haki would die instantly. Even those with Apex Gold haki would have to continuously coat their entire body to resist an immense drain. Once their haki was depleted or breached by Rowan, their soul would be sucked in, resulting in absolute death. Mr. Rowan. Is the other side of that door the underworld? Brooke, feeling a familiar aura from beyond the gate, asked in horror. Rowan's eyes narrowed upon hearing this. He deactivated the munch fruit's power, leaving only the door and Revive abilities active. The scary suction vanished, but the door, radiating a ghostly aura, remained open. The underworld? Rowan smiled with keen interest. Souls and the underworld explicitly existed in the One Piece world. The soul and Revive fruits were proof. But the only way to reach the underworld was through death. Even a Revive user, upon death, was kicked back out into the world. The underworld was a one-way street. But Rowan possessed the spatial door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit ability. Combined with the Revive fruit, both awakened. The door it opened, capable of sucking in souls, where else could it lead? Interesting. Rowan's smile grew wider. The underworld. Only souls could enter. A physical body could not. No one had ever been able to freely travel between the underworld and the mortal realm. let alone a living person. But Rowan was an exception. A living being who had obtained and awakened the revive fruit. A man of the underworld. And with the door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit, he had opened the gate to the underworld. SUG. Is that really the underworld? Usopp and Chopper asked, a mix of fear and curiosity. Rowan. You're not going in there, are you? Don't. Vivi and Nami looked at Rowan with worry. Robin also looked concerned. The underworld. The name itself was scary. Could one truly return from there? Shishi. I'll give it a try. Luffy immediately coated his hand in hockey and reached for the door. Zap. Ow. Luffy was instantly repelled, clutching his hand and wailing. Idiot. Do you not want that hand anymore? Zoro and Sanji roared. Luffy's recklessness was unbelievable. Hockey is useless. This door was opened by devil fruit powers. Trying to enter with hockey. Your training is still insufficient, Luffy. Rowan stated with a chilling smile, looking at Luffy, who was now blowing on his hand, tears in his eyes. Hockey was used to attack devil fruit powers. Approaching this gate to the underworld with a hockey-coated body was equivalent to hockey clashing with a devil fruit ability. Luffy's hockey wasn't strong enough. He was instantly repelled, experiencing a painful soul attack. Gak. Luffy instantly felt a terrifying aura envelop him. Training insufficient. He knew what that meant without Rowan explaining further. More of that demonic training. Cold sweat streamed down Luffy's face. If hockey can't be used, then how do you go to the underworld? Sanji and Zoro frowned. Why are you guys still thinking about going to the underworld? Nami couldn't comprehend their logic at all. If hockey didn't work, then just don't go. Naturally. With the power of a devil fruit. Rowan smiled. How else could one go to the underworld? The revive fruit's power was the best key. I see. The revive fruit. Zoro and Sanji realized. VMM. The power of the revive fruit enveloped Rowan completely. He first extended his hand into the gate. No danger. Rowan smiled. Phew. Nami, Vivi, and Robin sighed heavily in relief. VMM. Rowan pushed his manifested sixth sense to its limit. His now manifested sixth sense told him. Entering would yield an unexpected reward. Alright. Wait for me here. Don't worry. I've already seen the future. Rowan smiled. VMM. The power of the revive fruit completely enveloped Rowan. Whoosh. Rowan pushed the gate fully open and stepped through. SUG. Rowan really went to the underworld. Usopp exclaimed in awe. Bong. The sorcery climattact slammed into Usopp's head, nearly making his eyes pop out. You idiot. Nami roared, transforming into her sharp-toothed angry state. Don't worry, Nami. Rowan said his observation hockey saw the future, there's no danger. Besides, the door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit ability is still active, Rowan can return anytime. Vivi pointed out, gesturing towards the still open gate. Vivi wasn't unconcerned about Rowan, but as a woman by the side of a king, Vivi also possessed resolve. To support all of Rowan's decisions. To travel to the underworld. What an incredible power. Brooke marveled. Everyone, don't worry. If Mr. Rowan is in trouble, I'll risk this pile of bones and go in after him. I'm also a revive fruit user. Yo-oh-oh. Brooke stood beside the gate, letting out his signature laugh. Shishi. You're pretty cool, Brooke. Luffy and the others applauded. They liked people willing to sacrifice for their comrades. Nami sighed, then fixed her gaze intently on the gate. So this is the underworld? Rowan commented, looking around at this new world, a smile on his face. This was the world of souls. Anyone who died in the One Piece world. Their soul would come here. There was not a single trace of sea energy here. The only power usable was soul power. The power of the revive fruit. With the revive and door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruits, Rowan could freely enter and exit the underworld. He had truly become a real-life version of the Cancer Gold Saint. Rowan smiled, thinking of the Saint Ce manga from his past life on Earth. Except for light-speed attacks, Rowan could now basically use all of the Cancer Gold Saint's powers. Whether sending other souls to the underworld, directly attacking with soul power, or physically entering and exiting the underworld himself. Though the power systems were different, resulting in different levels of might, it was still a very novel experience. Quite a lot of souls here. Rowan commented, looking around. Then, he closed his eyes. Found you. Rowan opened his eyes and smiled. Whoosh. An air door opened before him. Rowan disappeared through it. The air doors, now fused with the revive fruit's power, also possessed soul power, naturally usable in the underworld. Whoosh. A door materialized out of thin air in another part of the underworld. Rowan stepped out, looking towards his target. At that moment, the soul before him radiated waves of absolute horror. What is he seeing? In this world of the dead? How did this man appear here? Even after death, he won't spare me? Hisishaburi Dana, long time no see, crocodile. Rowan greeted the soul with a smile. This soul was, unmistakably, the soul of the former warlord of the sea, killed by Rowan, Sir Crocodile. Chapter 167, 167, The Soul Legion. A mirror of the five elders. A wave of spiritual energy emanated from Crocodile's soul. As the man of the underworld, having awakened the revive fruit, and further enhanced by the awakened human fruit's intellect, Rowan could easily interpret the meaning within this spiritual fluctuation. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Why? Why are you in this world of the dead? Crocodile's soul pulsed violently. This was the man who had destroyed everything he had. His dreams, his very life. Utterly extinguished in Alabasta. His hatred for this man was now etched into his very soul. Though, a soul was all he had left. Souls entering the underworld, like Brook upon his resurrection, appeared as yellowish, cloud-like wisps, lacking a physical form. Only Rowan, as both a man of the underworld and an ultimate human, could distinguish between souls and understand the meaning of their spiritual fluctuations. If Crocodile had a physical form now, he would surely be grinding his teeth to dust. Completely dead, now existing only as a soul, Crocodile knew with certainty, the man before him was not dead. Anyone who died and entered the underworld existed as a soul. Yet this man stood here in his living, physical body. And around this man's body coiled a power that made Crocodile's soul tremble in fear. A power he knew all too well. The power of a devil fruit. After becoming a soul, his perception of devil fruit powers was even clearer. He came to the underworld with a physical body, using a devil fruit ability? And he found me. Was killing me in the mortal world not enough? Does he want to completely obliterate my soul too? Crocodile's soul pulsed with hatred, and profound terror. This devil fruit ability was a nightmare for a soul like him. It was the power to destroy souls. Soul and body destroyed was just a phrase. But truly facing such a fate, even the former warlord Crocodile felt his very soul shudder. Don't be so tense. It's been a while since I've seen an old friend. Why so nervous? Rowan asked with a smile. Crocodile's soul flared. Old friend? This bastard buried my dreams and my life in Alabasta. And now he calls me an old friend? What insulting nonsense. Oh? You don't want to be my friend? What a shame. Rowan sighed, then extended his right hand, wreathed in the power of the revive fruit. HSS. A strange white smoke began to rise from Crocodile's soul. It's been a long time, Mr. Rowan. Crocodile's soul instantly pulsed with politeness. Are you kidding? That's the power to truly obliterate souls. My soul is actually disappearing. As the saying goes, a wise man knows when to bow. As a soul, facing this man who could freely traverse the underworld and possess the power to utterly destroy souls. Bowing was not shameful. That's more like it. Rowan chuckled. Mr. Rowan. You went to such great lengths to find me in the underworld. What do you want from me? As you can see, I am nothing but a soul now. Crocodile's soul pulsed. No rush. First, let's catch up on the news from the world of the living. Rowan replied, producing a stack of newspapers and inviting Crocodile to have a look. Crocodile had no idea what this man was planning. He floated obediently over to the newspapers. One look. And he was completely stunned. What the hell is this news? Sky Sovereign Rowan defeated Marine Headquarters Admiral Aokiji? Severed his leg. Became the 5th Emperor of the Sea? User of the awakened Rumble fruit, an ultimate human from the awakened human fruit, and a space manipulator from the awakened Door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil fruit. What? Even Marine Headquarters Admiral Akanyu, that monster, was defeated by Sky Sovereign Rowan? A buster call suffered a devastating blow? Inai's lobby was breached by this man? The world's strongest ability user. The man who can steal everything. The 5th Emperor. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Bounty, 3,988,900,000 Bailey? And the Straw Hat Pirates. Those previously unremarkable rookies. All had bounties exceeding 100 million? They were already a super pirate crew on the level of an emperor's? Crocodile began to question his entire existence. Fake news. That was Crocodile's initial reaction. But thinking carefully. Impossible. Would Sky Sovereign Rowan go to such great lengths to come to the underworld just to show him fake news? Don't be ridiculous. This was the man who buried his dreams and his life in Alabasta. So, all this news was real? Had he been dead for many years? But Crocodile checked the dates on the newspapers. Only a few months had passed since his death. What kind of hellish joke was this? Oh, wait, this is the underworld hell. Never mind. But Crocodile still found it absurd. In just a few months, Sky Sovereign Rowan could defeat both Okiji and Akainu one-on-one? He had almost defeated the entire roster of 3 Marine Admirals. As a former warlord and Logia user, Crocodile knew all too well how powerful the 3 Logia Admirals were. Each was a walking natural disaster. Especially Akainu, user of the magma fruit with the strongest offensive power. Even users of Conqueror's coating had to be careful against him. Yet Akainu lost to Sky Sovereign Rowan in a one-on-one fight? No wonder he had a bounty close to 4 billion Bailey. That bounty was solidly in Emperor territory. At this moment, Crocodile felt a strange sense of release. Damn. Even Okiji and Akainu lost to this man. So my loss was perfectly normal, wasn't it? Sengoku the Buddha was also outmaneuvered by this man's schemes. So my dream being buried was perfectly normal too. His luck was just terrible. From the moment this man chose Alabasta as his starting point in the Grand Line, Crocodile's fate was sealed. So what exactly do you want with me? I don't think a loser like me, now just a soul, can offer anything to a man like you. Crocodile's soul pulsed. Come, Crocodile. Become my power. Rowan invited, extending his hand. Huh? Crocodile was stunned. He was inviting him? I used the power of the Revive fruit and the Door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil fruit to come here. Likewise. I can use this power to forcibly bring you back to the mortal world. Rowan explained with a calm smile. No wonder his sixth sense told him coming here would yield an unexpected reward. With this ability, he could build his own soul legion. Rowan hadn't forgotten what kind of power Imu possessed. Based on existing intel, under Imu's power, the 5 elders and the gods' knights all possessed some form of immortality. And the best way to fight an immortal army was with an immortal army of one's own. This soul legion was the most suitable existence. Kwahahaha. Return to the mortal world. What an incredible power. Crocodile's soul laughed. But even if I go back with you, as a soul, what can I do? Crocodile's tone turned grim. He yearned to return to the mortal world, of course. You can't be of use now. But when I defeat Big Mom and obtain her soul fruit ability, I can remake you into a new kind of Hami. Using Vivi's sand fruit ability, Rowan revealed with a smile. This was a feasible plan quickly devised by his human fruit enhanced intellect. The Revive fruit's power against souls was purely destructive. Just as Crocodile said, even if Rowan brought him back to the mortal world now, besides using the Revive fruit's power to burn his soul in a soul-infused attack, there was little else he could do. But the soul fruit was different. Its power over souls was absolute control. It could even infuse souls into elements, creating special Hamis. Prometheus, fire, and Zeus, lightning, were born this way. Rowan just needed to use the soul fruit to infuse Crocodile's soul into a sandstorm created by Vivi's sand fruit. And Crocodile could be reborn as a sandstorm human. And Crocodile's soul. His desire to be a sandstorm had not vanished. After being reborn as a sandstorm human, his power wouldn't have diminished. And his attacks would be fueled by soul power, not Rowan's own stamina. And as a special elemental Hami, just as Big Mom said, even Haki couldn't truly harm them. Only the Revive fruit's power could truly harm an elemental Hami. And that power was in Rowan's and Brooke's hands, nothing to worry about. Once this soul legion was built, it would be a special army possessing immortality similar to the 5 elders and the gods' knights. Defeat Big Mom? Crocodile's soul pulsed. To extend an invitation even to a loser like him. And his target was that natural-born monster, Emperor Big Mom. If it were just Big Mom, would I need to go to such lengths to came to this underworld? Rowan smiled. First, defeat Big Mom and Kaido. Then, completely overthrow the world government. Then I will stand above all. Rowan declared, laughing with absolute power. His voice, empowered by his Revive fruit, made countless souls tremble. You want to take down 2 emperors simultaneously? And overthrow the world government? Even Crocodile was stunned by this man's ambition. Crocodile remembered. His own past challenge against Whitebeard ended in unprecedented, crushing defeat. That defeat was etched into his very soul. Yet this man intended to take on 2 emperors at once. Including Kaido, hailed as the world's strongest creature, unbeatable one-on-one. When this man first appeared, his claim to stand above all was dismissed by many as arrogance. But now, he had truly become an emperor-level super pirate. With a bounty close to 4 billion. And you also need to atone for what you did to Alabasta. Fighting for me is the best atonement. Rowan added, a ghostly light flickering in his eyes. The earlier invitation was a show of respect for a fighter of Crocodile's caliber. After all, top-level Hamis possessed independent consciousness. To have Crocodile fight for him at full strength, some respect was necessary. But likewise, if Crocodile was foolish enough to refuse, the Revive fruit's power could completely destroy his soul. A Hami controlled by Rowan, a Revive fruit user, unlike Zeus with Big Mom, couldn't so easily betray him. Rowan possessed the true power to destroy souls. What a terrifying man. Makes one shudder from the bottom of one's heart. Crocodile's soul pulsed. Alright, if it's you, I accept. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Crocodile's soul finally pulsed in agreement. After all, refusal meant annihilation. And under such circumstances, this man still showed him respect, extending a formal invitation. To be driven by a man so young, who had defeated Okiji and Akainu, who was now challenging the very empty throne. It wasn't a shameful thing. Excellent. Rowan replied with a satisfied smile. Now then. One more fellow. Whoosh. Rowan activated his Revive and Door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil Fruits, opening another air door. Whoosh. His right hand, wreathed in the power of the underworld, plunged into the door and snatched something. Damn it. Who dares grab me? A god? A familiar, arrogant voice echoed from within the door even before the soul was pulled out. It's me. Rowan replied calmly, dragging Enel's soul out from the door. Rowan? Enel's soul nearly dissipated from sheer terror. His divine dream had been shattered by this man with just 3 punches. He had been beaten so badly his life flashed before his eyes. How could he possibly see this man again? Here in the underworld? And appearing in his living form? He is? Crocodile's soul pulsed curiously. Enel. Former user of the Rumble fruit. Rowan introduced. So your Rumble fruit ability came from this fellow. Crocodile's soul pulsed in understanding. What do you want from me, Rowan? Enel stammered fearfully. He was beaten into submission by Rowan. He had no desire to experience that again. Stay here quietly, and await my summons. Crocodile. You explain things to him. Rowan stated calmly. Towards someone like Enel, who only understood force. No politeness was necessary. Chapter 168, Bonus, Soul Legion vs God's Knights. The 4 main fighters resolve. Poor Moria. Faced with Rowan's words, Enel remained utterly subservient, offering no rebuttal. 3 punches had shattered his divine dream, even inducing a life-reviewing flashback. The psychological trauma this man inflicted upon him was too severe. Enel hadn't even given the man a proper fight. Under these circumstances, Enel was thoroughly subdued. Rowan, meanwhile, scanned the myriad of other souls in the underworld, a thoughtful expression on his face. If possible, Rowan naturally wanted to find all the top-tier powerhouses who had died in the past. Like the Pirate King, Goldie Roger. But the underworld was too vast. The souls too numerous, finding individuals was practically impossible. He had only found Crocodile and Enel because he had personally killed them. A connection had been forged between them. Their souls carried a faint trace of his own spiritual fluctuation. Under these conditions, he could quickly locate Crocodile and Enel. But figures like Roger, whom Rowan had never met. It was impossible. After death, all souls looked the same, he couldn't identify them by appearance. Still, acquiring 2 major future combatants was a decent haul. Once turned into a Hami, Crocodile's combat power could reach the 4 Emperors commander level. Combined with his new unkillable nature, he would be more than a match for the average God's Knight. Enel, even more so, could possess Admiral-level combat power. Even against the 5 Elders, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. And this underworld was filled with soul fragments. Souls weren't truly immortal. As explained in the original story, Brook could persist in the mortal world after resurrection, nearly unkillable, because of his powerful soul, enhanced by the Revive fruit. But normal souls entering the underworld would eventually dissipate over time. Even so, residual soul energy remained, and over countless eons, the underworld had accumulated an immense amount of it. As a Revive fruit user, Rowan could use his Door and Revive abilities to open the gate to the underworld, summon these souls into the mortal world, and directly use their soul energy for attacks. Unleashing the full potential of his Presp Underworld Wave, Apex Gold. Like other Devil Fruit abilities, the more soul energy he used, the greater the stamina consumption. The number of souls Rowan could manipulate at once was also limited. But undoubtedly, the existence of this technique once again elevated Rowan's combat ceiling. And this power held absolute dominion over souls. It was no exaggeration to say. Big Mom now posed 0 threat to Rowan. Big Mom was already at the bottom among the 4 emperors. She possessed terrifyingly immense natural talent. In terms of raw potential, Big Mom was arguably the strongest in the sea. Even Kaido's innate gifts couldn't compare to the natural-born monster, Charlotte Linlin. A 5-year-old who could seriously injure an adult giant with a single punch. A super monster. Yet, as an emperor, she became obsessed with having children and hosting tea parties, her physique becoming bloated, completely unlike a true powerhouse. Her combat IQ was in the negative. She possessed immense strength but couldn't utilize it to its full potential. The weakness of her observation haki, the manifestation of the 5 senses, was a clear indicator of her low combat IQ. Even so, relying purely on her talent, Charlotte Linlin became an emperor, her bloated body still capable of unleashing terrifying power. In contrast, Moria, who also lost all ambition and became bloated, was pathetically weak. This just highlighted the screeness of Linlin's talent. But now, before Rowan, the soul fruit ability was completely countered. Even more so than how the magma fruit countered the flare fruit. Rowan could directly destroy the soul fruit's power. Though Charlotte Linlin still had Conqueror's coating and her iron balloon body, even with the soul fruit, her negative combat IQ led to her defeat by the combined efforts of Trafalgar Law and Eustace Kid in the original story. Those two weren't even admiral-level combatants. One had his crew easily annihilated by Blackbeard. The other was taken offline by a single divine departure from Shanks. Though the awakened Opop and Magnet fruits possessed powerful attacks, their overall combat strength definitely hadn't reached the admiral tier. To be defeated by those two combined, even if Linlin had expended vast stamina and haki beforehand, was still a disgrace among the 4 emperors. Rowan hadn't expected Brook's revive fruit to yield such a massive gain. Not only did he acquire 2 future admiral and 4 emperors commander-level elemental homies, but he could also completely counter and crush Big Mom's soul fruit ability. Next, he could continue building his own soul legion. The revive fruit's control over souls focused mainly on destruction. Its efficiency in searching for powerful souls was too low. Once he obtained the soul fruit, which allowed complete control over souls, he could officially begin building his soul legion. Soul legion versus God's Knights. Who would be stronger? Interesting. Rowan smiled. Whoosh. After finalizing his plans, Rowan opened the gate of the underworld leading back to the Florian Triangle. Next time we meet, it'll be in the mortal world. Crocodile. NL. Rowan stated calmly with a smile, then stepped through the gate. Why isn't he back yet? Nami paced anxiously on the deck. Shishishi. The underworld. I really want to see it too. Luffy grinned. For an adventurer like Luffy with intense curiosity, the legendary underworld was too enticing. Boing. Nami's fist taught Luffy some manners. You should have been thrown in there. But I can't go in. Luffy clutched his head, then quickly shut up, seeing Nami's body seemingly wreathed in strange flames of anger. Whoosh. Just then, the gate opened, and Rowan stepped out. Rowan. Nami and Vivi cried out happily, rushing into his embrace. Though Rowan hadn't been in the underworld for long, to Nami and Vivi, it felt like an eternity. Robin also walked over to Rowan's side, a look of relief in her eyes. Though more mature than Nami and Vivi, she had been very worried about her beloved man entering such a place. But she trusted Rowan's judgment. Whatever he decided, it wouldn't be wrong. Zoro and Sanji also sighed in relief. Though they had absolute confidence in Rowan's strength, that was still the world of the dead. The underworld. Humans naturally feared the unknown, especially the world of the dead. Seeing Rowan return safely, Zoro and Sanji also smiled. Rowan. Hurry up and tell us. What's the underworld like? Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp. The Curiosity Trio immediately rushed over, their eyes sparkling like stars. Yo-oh-oh. I am also quite curious, Brook added, looking towards Rowan. Though he had been revived by the revive fruit, its ability had activated the moment he died, kicking him out of the underworld before he had a chance to really experience it. Zoro, Sanji, and the others also looked over. Death was something everyone had to face. Knowing what came after. Even they were extremely curious. The underworld. Rowan, seeing their curious expressions, didn't hide anything, recounting everything he saw and heard. It's full of ghosts. Hearing this, Usopp and Chopper clung to each other. So scary. The underworld is so scary. Is that where we go when we die? Chopper cried, tears streaming down his face. Hey, when you die, you'll be a ghost too, right? What's there to be afraid of? Zoro sighed helplessly at Chopper and Usopp. Don't say scary things. We're still young. Usopp transformed into his sharp-toothed angry state. Yeah. Stupid mosshead. Chopper also yelled. Zoro's eye twitched. If Curly Brows had said that, he would have drawn his swords already. But seeing the timid Chopper and Usopp yelling at him, Zoro felt helpless. You're the one so scared, yet you insisted on asking Rowan what the underworld was like. Did you really find Crocodile and Enel? Nami asked, feeling a sense of awe. Those two were powerful enemies they had faced upon first entering the Grand Line. One a warlord, the other a Rumble fruit user. Crocodile's Sand fruit was now Vivi's. And the Rumble fruit was now one of Rowan's signature abilities. Vivi, do you have any objections? Rowan asked, looking towards her. After all, Crocodile had orchestrated the Alabasta incident. Just as you said, Rowan. Fighting for you, overthrowing the world government that created the warlord system, is the best atonement for Alabasta, Vivi replied with a smile. She knew well that the root cause of the Alabasta incident wasn't just Crocodile, but the warlord system itself. Mr. Rowan. Then the members of the Rumbar pirates who died. Can they also be found? Brooke suddenly asked excitedly. If Mr. Rowan could find enemies he had killed, could he also find the souls of the Rumbar pirates? Impossible. The underworld is too big. Rowan replied, shaking his head. Hearing Rowan's explanation, Brooke looked disappointed. But then he quickly let out his signature yo-oh laugh and started cracking his skeleton jokes. He was naturally optimistic. Knowing Laboon was okay and having a chance to fulfill his promise was already enough. However, if you were to awaken your revive fruit, it's not entirely impossible. Rowan added, not completely dashing Brooke's hopes. Brooke's current mastery of his fruit was still too weak. He had previously been completely immersed in the grief of losing his comrades. Such emotions hindered devil fruit's strengthening. Once awakened, if Brooke was willing to put in immense effort, finding the souls of the Rumbar pirates wasn't completely out of the question. Devil fruit awakening. Brooke's eye sockets seemed to burn with a fierce flame. His heart, or rather, what was left of it, burned with intense passion. He could feel an endless stream of power welling up within his skeletal body. The promise with Laboon, the hope of finding the souls of his Rumbar comrades, gave Brooke a new hope for life. But they have already died. They can't remain in this world for long. Rowan added. Even if summoned, their existence in the mortal world would consume Rowan's stamina. Yo-oh. I wouldn't hope for that much. But if they could just witness the moment we fulfill our promise with Laboon, I would be content. Mr. Rowan, Captain Luffy, everyone. My gratitude to you cannot be fully expressed in words. Brooke said, looking up at the sky with a smile. Are you saying? Luffy, very perceptive in these matters, asked excitedly. Allow me to reintroduce myself. Brooke slammed his wanted poster onto the deck. It depicted him in his living form. I am Brooke. Commonly known as Humming Brooke. Bounty, 33 million Bailey. Formerly a captain of a certain kingdom's guard, later acting captain of the Rumbar pirates. Musician and swordsman. From this day forward, I entrust my life to Sky Sovereign Rowan and Captain Straw Hat Luffy. To avoid being a burden to everyone, I shall strive with all my bones. Brooke declared, pressing his hand on his wanted poster, his voice booming with renewed life. Yasha. A musician. Luffy rushed forward, tossing Brooke into the air. Hooray for the skeleton musician. Usopp and Chopper immediately followed, tossing Brooke up and down repeatedly. Yo-oh. Brooke, being tossed into the air, felt tears of joy moisten his skeletal eye sockets. Once again, he had comrades. Well then. It's time to get our musician's shadow back. Rowan smiled. The head of the warlord. Zoro's sword was already slightly drawn. Humphrey. Sanji exhaled a puff of smoke. I can't fall behind either. Vivi added with a smile. She too was a formidable fighter now. Shishishi. Let's see who gets the warlord's head first. Luffy, finished celebrating with Brooke, grinned with fighting spirit. Rowan looked at his four main combatants, all eager for battle, and smiled. At the same time, he silently mourned for Moria. Poor bastard. The current Moria couldn't defeat any one of Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, or Vivi. And now, all four of them wanted to take his head as a tribute for Rowan. Found him. Rowan's rumble enhanced observation hockey had already pinpointed Moria's location. Humphrey. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Vivi. All four combatants wore confident, predatory smiles. Chapter 169, 169, A Pirate on Kaido's Level. Moria's defenses shatter. The world's strongest manifestation. Deep within a gloomy castle on Thriller Bark. Gishishishishi. What brings you here? A man with a hairstyle resembling a flaming onion, two demonic horns on his forehead, and cross-shaped stitches running from his head to his neck, slowly opened his mouth full of sharp teeth, letting out his signature laugh. His body was immense, nearly 7 meters tall. This was one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Gecko Moria. Facing Moria was another man, no less tall than Moria himself, built like a bear, wearing gloves and holding a Bible. The only man among the 7 warlords who unconditionally obey the world government. Tyrant Bartholomew Kuma. Moria sneered, a mocking smile on his face. I've come to deliver 2 messages from the government. Kuma stated, his expression unchanging, his voice gentle and completely at odds with his immense size and tyrannical epithet. Oh? Moria's smile faded slightly. First, a replacement has been chosen for the warlord position left vacant by Crocodile's death. Kuma stated. Oh? Which great figure from the seas is it? Moria feigned interest. Marshal D. Teach. Blackbeard. Kuma replied. Blackbeard? Never heard of him. Moria raised an eyebrow. The purpose of the warlords was to use their established infamy to intimidate other pirates. Moria himself had been selected because he had made a significant name for himself in the New World, even clashing with the current emperor, Kaido of the Beasts. A man who escaped from the Whitebeard pirates. He has already made a considerable name for himself. Kuma reported impassively, carrying out his duty. Kuma didn't elaborate on what Blackbeard had done, that information was still top secret within the world government. What was his bounty before becoming a warlord? Moria asked. 0. Kuma replied. So a complete unknown? Moria wouldn't believe that the world government, which never acted without self-interest, would elevate a complete nobody to a warlord position. But the vacant spot is finally filled. Now the balance of the seas, which was beginning to tip, can be restored, Moria said, his massive, bloated body moving with heavy footsteps to the castle's railing. He looked out at the gloomy environment of Thriller Bark, a demonic smile returning to his face. As a user of the shadow fruit, a place without sunlight was ideal for his shadow zombie army. The people whose shadows he stole lived scattered across Thriller Bark. Moria didn't bother them. If they died, the shadows in his zombies would disappear. And those without shadows couldn't see the sun. The perpetually dark Florian Triangle was the perfect stronghold for Moria now. Balance. It was what the world government desired, and what Moria needed. After his crushing defeat by Kaido and the loss of his entire crew, Moria had completely lost heart. He believed that all living things were destined to be lost. Thus, he used his shadow fruit to create an army of shadow zombies. Being already dead, they couldn't die again. He used this to maintain the false prosperity of Thriller Bark. This self-deception led to Moria's complete downfall. His once agile body, capable of clashing with Kaido, had become incredibly bloated. The heavy thud of his every step was proof of this. Moria could no longer even properly control the strength of his own body. Consequently, his once powerful haki had completely vanished. He had become a pathetic shell of a man, relying solely on his devil fruit and zombie army to delude himself. Your information is severely outdated. Kuma stated, a slight inflection finally entering his voice. Moria looked at Kuma. Sky Sovereign Rowan is heading this way. The government orders you to evacuate this area immediately. Otherwise, the 7 warlords will be short another member. Kuma stated, looking directly at Moria. That Sky Sovereign Rowan who killed Crocodile? Moria bared his sharp teeth. Don't be ridiculous. Do those government fools think I'll lose to somewhat behind the ears brat? Moria grabbed Kuma by the collar, his eyes bloodshot, roaring with fury. Located in the perpetually dark Florian Triangle, Moria was cut off from the world. Even news coups didn't come here. And Moria, immersed in his false prosperity, couldn't care less about outside events. In Moria's mind, what major changes could there be? The balance between the warlords, marine headquarters, and the 4 emperors had persisted for years. Those upstart rookies entering the new world, all dreaming of overthrowing an emperor to become a new one. For years, the 4 emperors had reigned supreme, and those who dared challenge them were either crushed and absorbed into their forces or completely buried in the new world. These fledgling brats have no idea how terrifying an emperor truly is. Thinking back to his own crushing defeat by Kaido, Moria's eyes became even more bloodshot, his bare teeth looking like he wanted to devour Kuma. Kuma's words had dealt a massive blow to Moria's already shattered pride. To think they believed he would lose to a brat who had been at sea for less than a year. Moria's intel was still stuck at the moment Crocodile was defeated by Rowan. This was why Kuma had come here personally. To deliver this new intel. Moria, isolated in the Florian Triangle, had no idea what was happening in the outside world. As I said, your information is outdated. Kuma stated, completely unfazed by Moria's roaring, and produced several reports from his coat. See for yourself. Sky Sovereign Rowan is no longer the man who merely defeated Crocodile a few months ago. Kuma's voice held a slight tremor. What this man had accomplished. Even Kuma, who was on the verge of losing all emotion and consciousness, felt a profound shock. Huh? Moria snatched the reports from Kuma's hand. One look. and his eyes widened in utter disbelief. Marine Headquarters Admiral Aokiji defeated? Marine Headquarters Admiral Akainu defeated? A buster call suffered an unprecedented defeat? Inai's lobby completely destroyed? The strongest devil fruit user? The world's most dangerous man? A new emperor of the sea? Bounty. Each piece of intelligence struck Moriya's psyche like a hammer blow. When he saw the bounty amount, Moriya's defenses completely shattered. He let out a horrified shriek. 3,988,900,000 Bailey? Moriya's hand crushed the intelligence reports to pulp. Are you kidding me? This bounty amount? I isn't this. An emperor's bounty? Moriya roared, looking up and glaring at Kuma. Among the 4 emperors, the one with the lowest bounty, the youngest, red-haired Shanks, had a bounty of 4,048,900,000 Bailey. A bounty of 3,988,900,000 Bailey. Was absolutely, unequivocally, an emperor-level bounty. Correct. Sky Sovereign Rowan has been officially recognized as a new emperor of the sea. He is a pirate on the same level as Kaido of the Beasts. Kuma, knowing Moriya's past and why he was so broken, still delivered the world government's ruthless message. Though Rowan was still called a new emperor, the meaning was entirely different now. When he defeated Aokiji, being called the 5th emperor was the World Economic News Agency's hype. Marine Headquarters and the world government hadn't acknowledged it. But after the Inai's Lobby incident, and with the Straw Hat crew's combat power far exceeding expectations, to be able to crush a super buster call led by Akainu, the Straw Hat Pirates, with Rowan at their helm, were now indisputably an emperor-level super crew. Kaido of the Beasts. Moriya's eternal inner demon. To tell Moriya that Sky Sovereign Rowan was now a pirate on the same level as Kaido. As the ones who recruited Moriya as a warlord, the world government knew his current strength well. The current Moriya couldn't even defeat one of the Straw Hats' commanders. Before Rowan himself, he was like an ant. Evacuate immediately. And don't cause any trouble for us. This was the purpose of Kuma's visit. A pirate on Kaido's level? What nonsense are you talking about? Kaido is. Moriya roared, utterly broken, mentioning Kaido. But the words caught in his throat. What could he say about Kaido? The man who instilled fear deep within his heart? Moriya becoming a warlord was, generously put, because he challenged the Emperor Kaido. He was just a lucky guy who survived an encounter with Kaido. Just saying Kaido's name made Moriya tremble from the depths of his soul. His very name struck fear into countless powerhouses on the seas. For the world government to now deem Sky Sovereign Rowan a pirate on Kaido's level. Moriya refused to accept it. But reputations could lie. Battle records could not. The successive defeats of Marine Admirals Aokiji and Akainu were the best proof of Sky Sovereign Rowan's strength. Especially Akainu. Moriya knew very well what a scary monster Akainu was. No matter how much he didn't want to admit it, Moriya knew. He, now, stood no chance against a man with such strength. The government's orders have been delivered. Evacuate immediately. Otherwise, the government will have to select another replacement for a warlord position. Kuma stated calmly. Moriya's cheek twitched, but he couldn't utter a single word of rebuttal. Do you need me to send you off, Kuma? Moriya snarled, unable to bring himself to say he would retreat. For a warlord, could it be called running away? No, it was responding to a world government summons. Kuma showed no emotional response to Moriya's words. His mission was complete, he could use his pawpaw fruit ability to leave at any time. This was why the world government often used Kuma to deliver orders. The pawpaw fruit was incredibly useful, almost a bug-level ability. This fruit, along with Kaido's fish fruit, was one of the prizes in the God Valley Incident hunting tournament for celestial dragons. Just as Kuma was about to activate his pawpaw fruit, his expression suddenly fluctuated. Such strong auras. Many of them. Kuma's observation haki sensed numerous terrifying auras, having already breached Thriller Bark. The auras that could pose a threat to him numbered at least 3. And one more. Kuma's emotions began to fluctuate violently. An incredibly terrifying presence. Just sensing it with his observation haki filled him with a sense of dread. To appear in this sea area, and for him to feel such dread just from the aura, it could only be one man. A bit late. Kuma sighed. What's a bit late? Moriya asked, confused. His haki had long since vanished along with his will to fight, he hadn't sensed any approaching presences. Sky Sovereign Rowan has arrived. Kuma's voice was grim. He even abandoned the thought of using his pawpaw fruit. The pawpaw fruit could repel people at terrifying speeds to a designated location. True, in terms of escape capability, it was even stronger than the glint fruit. The glint fruit couldn't allow the user to maintain a state of light for long distance travel. Even Kizaru couldn't bear such a terrifying stamina consumption. But the pawpaw fruit only required stamina for the initial push. The repelled person or object would then fly through the atmosphere surrounded by a paw-shaped shockwave. This escape method was almost foolproof. But that depended on who you were facing. The man arriving now was the world's strongest devil fruit user. Not only a rumble user whose observation hockey could cover an entire country, but also a man who had awakened the door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit, capable of controlling space. In front of this man, using the pawpaw fruit was suicide. The moment this man arrived, Klima's observation hockey told him this fact. Klima hadn't yet trained his observation hockey to the point of seeing the future, but the moment he considered using the pawpaw fruit, he felt a fatal sense of crisis. It was like when Luffy tried to attack Mihawk in the original story, and his observation hockey showed him a vision of his hands being cut off. An absolute life or death crisis triggered a terrifying premonition. And beside him, Moria's pupils constricted to pinpoints. Sky Sovereign Rowan. That pirate on Kaido's level is here! Chapter 170. 170, bonus, Rowan's martial arts. Galaxy impact. The King's wings. Whoosh. Wrapped in a terrifying wind pressure, the Mary shot into the airspace of Thriller Bark. Why are we landing like this? Nami shrieked, clinging to Rowan who stood at the front of the deck. The Mary, propelled by its thunderburst, had hurtled through the sky and now made its dramatic entrance onto Thriller Bark. Shishishi. This is how our pirate crew should make an entrance. Luffy cheered excitedly, grinning broadly. Humphrey. An Emperor-level crew can't just make a boring landing, can they? Zoro and Sanji also grinned. My skin is going to get blown off. Ah, though I have no skin, only a pile of bones. Yo-oh-oh. Brook clung to the Mary's mast, his afro whipping wildly in the wind. This novel experience thrilled Brook immensely. It had been years since he had an adventure with comrades like this. Rowan, the instigator of it all, looked down at the gloomy environment of Thriller Bark below, a smile playing on his lips. VMM. Boom. Crimson black lightning instantly roared out from Rowan's eyes, materializing in the atmosphere. The moment this violet, tyrannical crimson black lightning appeared, the entirety of Thriller Bark began to tremble faintly. The dark clouds perpetually blanketing the Florian Triangle roiled violently, trembling before the power only a true king could possess. The full might of Conqueror's coating. VMM. The raging crimson black lightning coiled around Rowan's right fist, forming a thin cloud of Conqueror's coating. Whoosh. Rowan leaped from the deck of the now slowing Mary, appearing high above Thriller Bark. Countless arcs of crimson black lightning enveloped his body. Galaxy impact. Rowan roared with powerful laughter, his coated fist slamming downwards. VMM. Boom. Terrifying Conqueror's energy erupted from the air itself, blasting the very center of Thriller Bark. A horrifying shockwave of crimson black hockey lightning tore through the heart of the massive ship island. This shockwave was pure, violent Conqueror's coating energy, infused with a portion of Rowan's physical energy and his newfound martial arts prowess. Yes. This technique was inspired by Hero Garp's signature attack, the Galaxy Impact. That devastating move from the original story that obliterated numerous buildings and pirates on Kinazu Island with a single punch. And Rowan, using his Azura aura and the power of Hikiko sovereignty, could now manifest his physical energy, infusing it into this very attack. Furthermore, he was beginning to display the power of true martial arts. After his battles with Aokiji and Akainu, Rowan truly understood the power of martial arts and had since begun training. His training method was simple, as shown in the original story, pummeling discarded steel warships with his bare fists, without using hockey or devil fruit powers. Water 7 had plenty of scrap steel ships. Rowan used his smoke and munch abilities to easily carry these massive ships for his training. He could even use the munch ability to fuse various hard materials with steel, creating even stronger training materials. This training was similar to a swordsman's. Every punch was like a sword swing. Even when Zoro became a great swordsman, his basic training still involved endless repetitions of fundamental sword motions with heavy weights. Fundamentals were key to mastering powerful martial arts. And simply punching steel, unless you were a natural-born monster like Big Mom, would injure even an Apex Gold physique. When his physique reached pale gold, Rowan understood that at the gold tier, the amount of physical energy contained within was the key determinant of its rank. Humans were carbon-based, punching steel with enough force to shatter it would also cause terrifying damage to oneself. And this damage was the point of training Iron Fist. The skin, muscles, even bones of the fist would be severely damaged, even fractured. The body's natural repair mechanisms would then kick in. After recovery, the fists would become stronger. Repeating this process over and over, continuously tempering the fists, until they reached the state of Iron Fist. This process was like a smith forging a famous blade. For a martial arts master, Their fists were like a famous blade to a swordsman. Garp's iron fists had undoubtedly reached a level equivalent to a supreme-grade sword, granting him a terrifying boost in combat power. Rowan's previous fighting style, though using fists, was only using them as a medium. At his level, they offered no combat enhancement. He fought purely with energy attacks, combining hockey and devil fruit abilities and simply blasting his enemies. Such a method was very wasteful in terms of energy. After his fight with Akiji, Rowan hadn't felt the urgency. But after his life-or-death struggle with Akainu, Rowan had a profound awakening. He absolutely could not underestimate the true top-tier powerhouses of this sea, those forged through countless life-or-death battles. He had to begin training in martial arts. For a combatant of Rowan's level, to start training Iron Fist from scratch should have been impossible. An awakened zone's physique was already enhanced by their devil fruit. Punching steel with that enhanced skin, muscle, and bone would be like using a devil fruit ability, not meeting the conditions for true Iron Fist training. But Rowan's devil fruit abilities existed as traits. Rowan could directly detach all his devil fruit traits from his body. In this state, Rowan's body was devoid of any hockey or devil fruit power. He could use his pure, physical fists to pummel steel ships, training a pair of iron fists. After training until his fists were battered and broken, even the bones fractured. Only then would Rowan begin to recover. And his recovery method was a complete bug. He could simply re-equip his devil fruit abilities. As an awakened zone user, his regenerative capabilities were terrifyingly powerful. Retransforming into an ultimate human, his shattered fists, under the effect of a human fruit and superhuman demonic physique, Apex Gold, trait, would rapidly heal. And become even stronger. This bug-like method. Only Rowan on these seas could achieve it. Using his pure fists for tempering, yet enjoying the terrifying regenerative power of an awakened zone. Combined with his superhuman demonic physique trait, which allowed recovery and strengthening even from completely shattered bones. Rowan's training efficiency reached an astonishing level. And with each punch, Rowan's control over energy deepened. And at this moment, it was time for Rowan to display his martial arts. Boom. A terrifying energy shockwave instantly erupted. The violent, tyrannical energy instantly shredded the countless plants on Thriller Bark. Thriller Bark was a special ship, the world's largest pirate ship, practically a small island with large patches of land. And this land, under the violent energy shockwave, instantly fractured. Countless terrifying fissures appeared across Thriller Bark. The numerous zombies hidden within the earth stared in terror at the approaching energy shockwave, then were utterly annihilated, reduced to ash under this ridiculous power. Boom. Crack. Even the world's largest pirate ship couldn't withstand a single blow from Rowan's current power. Whoosh. Boom. Crack. Thriller Bark broke into countless fragments. The shockwave also slammed into the gloomy castle at its center. A horrifying fissure spread from beneath the castle, the entire structure began to tremble violently, cracks appearing everywhere. The vibration caused Maria, who could no longer control his own strength, to fall flat on his backside, staring in horror at the scene before him. No devil fruit power. Pure conqueror's coding and martial arts. Klima's voice also held a violent tremor. The world's strongest devil fruit user, without using any devil fruit abilities, still possessed this fearsome combat power. And this attack, though not yet at the same level, already possessed the nascent form of Hero Garp's Iron Fist. Before this, Marine Headquarters and the world government's assessment of Sky Sovereign Rowan was of a super powerhouse of hockey and devil fruits, whose martial arts skill was near zero. But now, he was even beginning to display the power of martial arts. Was this scary man beginning to evolve again? Thud. Rowan landed on a fragment of Thriller Bark, clenching his fists, producing a sound like popping beans. Ha 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 ha. My martial arts training still has a long way to go. Rowan declared with a powerful laugh. Are you kidding me? Moria sweated profusely. One blow, and his Thriller Bark was completely destroyed. And he still felt his power wasn't strong enough. At this moment, Moria's eyes began to fill with terror. Whoosh. The Flying Mary now landed on the sea, amidst the fragmented pieces of Thriller Bark. Mr. Rowan. So strong. Is this the strength of a top-tier powerhouse? Brooke was completely stunned, almost in a daze. What kind of power was this? Brooke, whose crew perished in the Florian Triangle, had never witnessed combat strength of this caliber. The head of the warlord, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Vivi now all cracked their knuckles, looking towards Moria in the gloomy castle. Moria-sama. What happened? Just then, Moria's three main subordinates, the surgeon Hogback, the hollow fruit user Perona, and the clear fruit user Absalom, all rushed frantically to Moria's side. You're Tyrant Kuma, one of the 7 warlords? Perona shrieked upon seeing Kuma, immediately hiding behind Moria. But Perona quickly noticed something was wrong with Moria's mood. Moria-sama afraid? Moria-sama? Perona blinked her doll-like eyes, feeling flustered. What happened? A shockwave came from the sky, and the entire ship was destroyed. Absalom sweated profusely. My zombie army suffered countless casualties, Moria-sama. Hogback was also incredibly panicked. Then, their gazes, following Moria's, fell upon the figure standing on a fragment of thriller bark. Did he do that? The three subordinates broke out in cold sweat. Moria. Kuma. Two warlords gathered here. Rowan commented with a smile. Rowan had sensed Kuma's presence long ago. He had also used his devil fruit ability to warn Kuma. Trying to use the pawpaw fruit to escape before him was impossible. Moria. Your pirate career ends here. Rowan stated calmly. My pirate career ends? Moria's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. Brickbat. A spear-like shadow rapidly extended, shooting towards Rowan. But Rowan didn't even move. Clang. The shadow spear instantly shattered. How could we let you directly attack our king? Zoro grinned fiercely. Chapter 171, A Man's Dream. Plundering Moria's fortune. Pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro, bounty 600 million Bailey, a man who possesses Conqueror's Haki. And Blackleg Sanji, a man with a bounty of 550 million Bailey. Kuma, seeing Zoro and Sanji step forward, his expression turned grim. 600 million? 550 million? Conqueror's Haki? With each bounty Kuma announced, veins throbbed violently on Moria's forehead. Previously, Moria had only looked at Rowan's bounty and battle record, ignoring the other Straw Hat members. In his view, after Rowan, how strong could the other rookies on a year-old crew possibly be? But now, hearing Zoro and Sanji's bounties, Moria was filled with disbelief. What kind of sick joke was this? A bounty was the most direct measure of a pirate's strength. Even factoring in Rowan's influence, bounties over 500 million were at the level of an emperor's high-ranking commanders. And his full-power shadow fruit attack, so easily shattered by those two, proved their strength. Oi. Even though it's a fair competition, you guys stealing the captain's spotlight is going too far. Luffy declared, landing in front of the gloomy castle with a grin. Also a user of Conqueror's Haki. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy, bounty 1,035 million Bailey. Kuma's voice held a strange new tone. Straw Hat was the son of the man he followed, the revolutionary leader, Monkey D. Dragon. To have made such a name for himself, reaching this level of strength in less than a year. Kuma was impressed. 1 billion. Moria's face froze completely. Another user of Conqueror's Haki. And his bounty exceeded 1 billion. Wasn't that the bounty level of an emperor's second-in-command? Moria finally understood why Kuma said Rowan was a pirate on Kaido's level. He wasn't just referring to Rowan's personal strength, but the terrifying combat power of the entire crew. This was, without a doubt, an emperor-level pirate crew. Him, alone, facing an entire emperor-level crew? Moria's face turned ashen. No one on these seas could single-handedly face a full emperor crew. Whoosh! You guys are moving too fast. A sandstorm roiled, coalescing into Vivi's slender figure, a smile on her face as she looked towards Moria. Desert Princess Vivi, bounty 450 million Bailey, user of the sand fruit. Kuma provided the final blow. Moria felt his mind go completely blank. There's more? A woman who obtained Crocodile's sand fruit and has a 450 million bounty? Looking at Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Vivi, all staring at him like he was cornered prey, Moria trembled uncontrollably. Beside him, his three main subordinates, Perona, Absalom, and Hogback, were already scared witless. Their captain had a bounty of 320 million Bailey. Though bounties froze upon becoming a warlord, that figure still placed him among the great pirates. But look at the bounties of these four. The sheer numbers made them lose all will to fight. Moria-sama. What do we do? Hogback stammered fearfully. Moria's body twitched even more violently, he couldn't answer. What do we do? I want to know what to do too. His gaze darted towards Kuma. Moria knew his ability. The pawpaw fruit could send people anywhere. Hey! Kuma. Get us out of here. But Kuma shook his head. I cannot. What do you mean you cannot? You're a pawpaw fruit user. Moria shrieked. Moria, wake up to reality. The man we're up against is the world's strongest devil fruit user. Using a devil fruit ability before him is suicide. Kuma replied, glancing at Moria. Moria's forehead veins throbbed. The world's strongest devil fruit user. Made Kuma, with his pawpaw fruit, so afraid he wouldn't even dare activate it? Two warlords, huh? Lucky. Zoro grinned. Hey. More prey means easier to share. Sanji added with a smirk. Shishishi. I'll take both. Luffy roared. Whoosh. Luffy instantly activated Gear Second, steam hissing from his pores. Whoosh. He vanished, reappearing above the gloomy castle. Gamu Gamu no. Jet pistol. Luffy laughed, his fist, wreathed in dense armament haki, leaving a terrifying afterimage as it slammed into the horrified Moria. Boom. Moria's massive body shot backwards like a cannonball. Crash. The gloomy castle, already precarious from Rowan's earlier galaxy impact, instantly began to collapse under this blow. Moria's 3 subordinates' eyes nearly bulged out. Huh? This weak? He doesn't even know hockey? Luffy asked, genuinely surprised. He had expected a thrilling battle against a warlord. But a mere probing attack in Gear Second sent Moria flying. Damn you. Though Moria had lost his hockey, his durability was still decent. Luffy's probing attack, while humiliating, wasn't enough for a one-hit KO. Scrambling from the rubble, Moria's forehead now bleeding, his eyes bloodshot, he glared at Luffy. A brat who's been at sea for less than a year. Calling him weak? The insult deeply wounded Moria's pride. Even if he died, he had to take a bite out of this brat. Shadows Asgard. Moria roared, his eyes bloodshot, directly activating his strongest ability. He absorbed all the shadows he could control into his body. 100 shadows. 500 shadows. Moria's body began to giantize. Gishishishi. Straw Hat. Prepare to die. Moria yelled, struggling to maintain his sanity. Shadows Asgard also had a drawback, the shadows contained remnants of their original owner's consciousness. Absorbing too many would cause the user to lose control and go on a rampage. 500 shadows was Moria's current limit while retaining his sanity. Though enraged, Moria wasn't a fool. He knew against a pirate with a bounty over 1 billion, his other tricks were useless. Only his strongest move, Shadows Asgard, could be used. Is this the best a warlord can do? Relying on others' power? Sanji exhaled a puff of smoke, his eyes filled with disappointment. Zoro felt the same. They were no longer the frogs in a well from East Blue. They were now high-ranking commanders of a new emperor's crew. Their strength and perspective had changed completely. Sanji and Zoro's observation haki could clearly sense how chaotic and weak Moria's spiritual state was in this form. He was just forcibly inflating his combat power with others' strength. It might work against pirates with 100-200 million bounties, but against them? It was utterly laughable. Silence. Moria roared, his voice now a distorted, muddy bellow due to his enlarged form and the numerous consciousnesses within him. Die. Straw Hat Pirates. Moria swung his giant hand, swatting towards Zoro and Sanji. Diable Jam. Natui Rashomon. Facing Moria's all-out attack, Sanji and Zoro didn't even use their full power. An attack like this wasn't worthy of Sanji's Ifrit Jam or Zoro's three-sword style. Sanji instantly activated Diable Jam, infusing his kick with armament haki. Zoro used one of his two-sword style's signature techniques, Rashomon. Slice. Boom. An X-shaped slash mark appeared on Moria's body, blood spraying everywhere. His body was also engulfed in the flames from Sanji's Diable Jam. His eyes began to roll white. Moria-sama. The 3 subordinates shrieked. WHWHY. Moria gasped, his eyes filled with disbelief. Why was he defeated so miserably? He was a warlord. Yet against 3 rookie brats, he was utterly powerless. The humiliation. The crushing defeat by Kaido. Flashed before Moria's eyes like a revolving lantern. He recalled Rowan's earlier words. Your pirate career ends here. No. Shadows Asgard. Moria roared, refusing to accept defeat. He disregarded the risk of losing consciousness, absorbing even more shadows into his body. 600. 800. 1,000. As 1,000 shadows poured into Moria, his eyes turned completely white. Under the power of Shadows Asgard, he completely lost control, going on a rampage. Roar. Moria let out an inhuman bellow and began destroying everything around him, even lashing out at his own subordinates. Moria-sama. Perona screamed as a giant foot came stomping down on her. Whoosh. An air door appeared beside Perona, a suction force pulling her in instantly. Kami. Whoosh. Another air door opened beside Rowan, and Perona tumbled out. How unsightly, Moria. You used shadow zombies to delude yourself because you lost your comrades. And now you don't even care about the only comrades you have left? Rowan commented, looking at the pathetic man. Squish. Hogback, one of the 3 subordinates, was instantly crushed under Moria's foot. The user of the clear fruit, Absalom, managed to dodge, then, gritting his teeth, activated his fruit and vanished. That ability is. Sanji froze, as if struck by lightning, staring at the spot where Absalom disappeared. Permsha, clear fruit. Rowan stated with a knowing smile. As expected, the clear fruit didn't just turn the user invisible. It erased their presence, actions, footsteps. Everything. Without breaking the ability itself, even observation Haki couldn't detect the user's presence. This was how Shiryu managed to land a sneak attack on Garp in the original story. Observation Haki, being a sensory extension and not a direct attack, couldn't perceive a user whose presence was completely erased. To counter this ability. Crackle. Boom. Countless arcs of crimson-black lightning roared across the sky above Thriller Bark. A scream of agony echoed as Absalom reappeared, heavily wounded by the force of Conqueror's coating, writhing in pain. It really is the clear fruit. Sanji stared, his breath hitching, at his childhood dream. Sanji, do you want that devil fruit? Rowan asked, looking at Sanji. Ha. Sanji took several deep breaths, then smiled. No. I don't. The clear fruit was a man's dream, yes. But he had a more important dream. Finding the all blue. He couldn't become unable to swim. Besides, the clear fruit offered little boost to his combat power, it was best suited for assassins. It would only hinder his Haki development. He still had to help Rowan become the man who stood above all. And help Luffy become Pirate King. He couldn't let a mere clear fruit get in the way of his dreams. Excellent. Rowan smiled. Blunder. A slight exertion of Conqueror's coating, and an ant like Absalom instantly fainted. The clear fruit's ability was plundered by Rowan. Boom. Without warning, Moria, who was still rampaging, was instantly obliterated. His massive body, empowered by Shadow's Asgard, simply disintegrated. That's. Kuma's forehead also beaded with cold sweat. Silently, devastatingly. The energy just appeared. Kuma looked at Rowan, who was pointing a single finger towards the sky, and felt a profound sense of horror. The clear fruit had made the rumble fruit invisible. Plunder fortune. Chapter 172, Bonus, Flare Fruit Awakened. Kuma, have you ever seen Nika? Moria's body, now completely charred black, was utterly lifeless. The devastating energy had not only annihilated Moria but had also shattered the entire area where he stood, even the sea below crackled with residual lightning. On these seas, only one ability could achieve such a feat. The rumble fruit ability. Hailed as one of the most invincible among Logias. Rowan's signature move of pointing a single finger to the sky was the clearest proof. But there had been no visible shadow or sound of descending lightning. Neither the brilliant flash of lightning nor the rumble fruit's iconic thunderclap had occurred. In just the blink of an eye, Moria had been silenced by a storm of invisible, rampaging thunder. Rowan had combined the power of the clear fruit with the rumble fruit. Kuma's forehead was slick with cold sweat. His observation Haki hadn't detected any attack approaching at all. Though intel from the world government indicated that Sky Sovereign Rowan's rumble fruit could achieve observation Haki nullification, completely shutting down observation Haki that hadn't reached the level of future sight. But his own observation Haki was active. Yet, he hadn't detected any sign of an attack. Silently, invisibly. The destructive energy of the rumble fruit descended, and Moria was just gone. What a horrifying method of attack. Facing this silent, invisible, lethal assault. Even Kuma, whose emotions and consciousness were being systematically erased by the world government, felt a primal fear well up from the depths of his heart. Humans are inherently afraid of the unknown. And this silent, instant, destructive attack was undoubtedly one of humanity's greatest primal fears. Before such an attack, his paw fruit ability would be completely useless. At this moment, Kuma fully understood just how scary the world's strongest devil fruit user truly was. In terms of devil fruits, no one on these seas was stronger than Rowan. And Kuma understood why his observation Haki had warned him that his paw fruit escape ability would be useless. Kuma looked at Perona, who had suddenly appeared beside Rowan from an air door, his expression grim. He understood now why his Haki had warned him of a life-or-death crisis if he tried to use the paw fruit to escape. It was this ability. The door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil Fruit's power. And not just the door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil Fruit. That air door also possessed a devouring force, capable of forcibly sucking people into its spatial dimension. That was the Perimsha Munch fruit ability. The door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil Fruit combined with the Munch fruit, had warped space itself. To synergize to this extent with an awakened door fruit model, Dimensional Gate Devil Fruit, Rowan's Munch fruit ability must have also awakened. How frightening. What a man to be feared from the depths of one's heart. Before this ability, the moment he activated his paw fruit, he would be sucked into that air door. Before warped space, even the pawpaw fruit's power offered no resistance. And the next moment, what he saw next nearly made Kuma's sunglasses fall off in shock. Plundering pirate faction iconic figure, warlord of the Sea Gecko Moria's fortune. Faction fortune, Apex Gold, activated. A notification appeared. The fortune representing Moria's warlord and pirate faction status was plundered by Rowan. This was the third time Rowan had activated his faction fortune, Apex Gold, trait. The first time, plundering a fraction of Mihawk's fortune, he awakened armament hockey and observation hockey. However, that was an insignificant amount of fortune for Mihawk, which he recovered from almost instantly. The second time was when faction fortune truly demonstrated its power. Plundering the complete warlord fortune from Crocodile. This allowed Rowan's Conqueror's hockey to advance to deep gold tier, letting him preliminarily master Conqueror's coding and ascend to the ranks of the truly strong. It was the springboard he used to crush Enel and obtain the Rumble fruit, beginning his true meteoric rise. But honestly, Rowan didn't have high hopes for Moria's fortune. After all, though both were warlords, Crocodile and Moria's reputations were at the bottom of the pile. Crocodile had lost decisively to Whitebeard. Moria had lost decisively to Kaido. They only qualified as warlords because of the horrifying reputations of the emperors they had challenged. After all, the terror of the four emperors was well known to any non-fodder pirate on the seas. Rookie pirates entering the New World either had to submit to an emperor's crew, if the emperor would even have them, or challenge an emperor to take their place. For years, the New World had only accumulated more skeletons of those who challenged an emperor's might. Even in defeat, Crocodile and Moria had at least survived encounters with Whitebeard and Kaido, a resume sufficient to intimidate other pirates. But defeat was defeat. Crocodile's and Moria's prestige among the warlords was not high. Among the warlords, only Mihawk could somewhat compare to the four emperors. However, Mihawk was a target Rowan needed to leave for Zoro's growth. Compared to gaining a powerful and infinitely potential-filled combatant like Zoro, Mihawk's fortune seemed less important. Hence, Rowan considered Moria's fortune a minor gain, something to collect along the way. Even if it was all used to strengthen his Conqueror's hockey, the increase would be similar to what he got from Crocodile. For the current Rowan, it was better than nothing. But what Rowan hadn't expected was that this plundered fortune wasn't for hockey. It was for a devil fruit. Obtained desire to become fire. Flare fruit awakening conditions met. Flare fruit. Awakened. The plundered fortune was the desire needed to awaken the Logia flare fruit. Rowan's eyes blazed with intense flames. His flare fruit ability was on a completely different level from his rumble fruit. Though fire and lightning naturally had disparities in attack power, the fundamental reason was that the flare fruit wasn't awakened. Only after awakening could a devil fruit unleash its full power, reaching its peak potential. Though its properties made its offensive power slightly less than the rumble fruits. With an awakened flare fruit, one could still reach the admiral level threshold. When equipping Ace's flare fruit, Rowan had also equipped Ace's desire to be fire. But Ace was too young, burdened by childhood trauma. His spiritual power had a massive flaw, making it incredibly difficult to meet the awakening conditions for a fruit of this level. After obtaining the fruit, Rowan had tried to train it, strengthening his own desire to be fire. Only through personal training could one understand how difficult it was for a Logia to awaken. For a carbon-based human to desire to become a natural element was profoundly unnatural. This unnaturalness made training a Logia very difficult. Though Rowan, with his metamorphosed spirit after the battle with Akainu, was confident he could eventually awaken the flare fruit, he couldn't guarantee how long it would take. But now, after plundering Moria's fortune, the desire to be fire he obtained, combined with what he already possessed, was sufficient. The flare fruit. A fruit obtained even before the rumble fruit. At this moment, completed its awakening. VMM. A strange ripple emanated from Rowan's body. Whoosh. 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 Without warning, terrifying flames began to burn wildly. The shattered fragments of thriller bark, the ruined vegetation, the very earth. All ignited in seemingly unquenchable, horrifying flames. Even the gloomy black clouds high above now glowed an ominous red. Whoosh. 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 Countless fireballs rained down from the clouds. This entire region of thriller bark had become a world of fire. Rowan's flare fruit awakened? Zoro, Sanji, and the others watched the scene, not entirely unfamiliar with it. Only after awakening could a Logia truly unleash its full power, becoming a walking natural disaster. Fire, since ancient times, alongside lightning, was one of the natural elements most feared and revered by humanity. Flare fruit awakened? Kuma felt his mind go numb, his sunglasses nearly falling off in shock. Rumble, human, door, Munch munch, flare flare. Just how many devil fruits had Rowan awakened? But it wasn't over yet. Whoosh! An air door, glowing with an otherworldly light, opened. The gate to the underworld. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless streams of soul energy were sucked out from the underworld, coiling around Rowan's right fist. Flame commandment. Rowan's lips curled. Whoosh! The soul energy ignited. Previously, Rowan considered himself a carbon copy of the Cancer Gold Saint, but with some differences. After all, Manigolto's method of using soul power was to burn it, transforming it into Unabai, demon fire. But the Revive fruit's ability manifested soul energy as underworld cold, lacking direct attack power. But now, with the awakened Flare fruit, he could perfectly burn this soul energy. Seiki Shiki Kaisoan, pressed demonic blue fire, Apex Gold. Demonic blue fire was now developed by Rowan. Another Apex Gold tier ultimate technique trait. His Seiki Shiki Kanso-ha, pressed soul burial waves, had also evolved, now capable of simultaneously using the powers of the Revive, Flare, and Bomb fruits. He had really replicated the power of the Cancer Gold Saint. Soul power. This is. Kuma, a user of the Pawpaw fruit, had traveled to many places, his knowledge vast. This power. Wasn't it the soul power wielded by Big Mom? But it was also very different. The soul fruit controlled souls. This man's power was directly infusing attacks with soul energy. To do such a thing. The Revive fruit. Kuma stared at Rowan in horror. The legendary devil fruit that granted its user a second life. Was also in Sky Sovereign Rowan's hands. And from the looks of it, it had also awakened. But Kuma knew, the Revive fruit only activated after the user died. This man hadn't died at all. But then, thinking of Rowan, the world's strongest devil fruit user, Kuma felt a sense of resignation. Regarding devil fruits, no one was stronger than this man. Nothing he did with devil fruits should be surprising anymore. Rowan, why did you finish off Moria? Weren't you going to let me do it? Vivi asked poutily. Vivi wasn't dissatisfied with Rowan's decision. It was just that Vivi, now deeply in love, would take any opportunity to act spoiled with Rowan. Sorry. I got a new power, my hands got itchy. Rowan chuckled. Shishishi. Good thing there's still one warlord left. Luffy and the others looked towards Kuma. Being stared at by Luffy and the others, even Kuma felt immense pressure. He immediately wanted to reveal his true identity. After all, before this group, he stood no chance of winning. But the next moment, Kuma was completely stunned. Kuma. Have you ever seen Nika? Rowan asked, smiling. Chapter 173, Exposure. An exaggerated background. A true man, Kuma. Loading the Pawpaw fruit. Nika? Kuma's emotions surged with unprecedented intensity. Even though Kuma's body was now mostly mechanical, he could barely even be called a person anymore. And soon, his consciousness and very life would be completely erased by the world government, reduced to a pure mechanical tool. Even so, Kuma's body began to tremble intensely. Simply because that name, Nika, held too much significance for Kuma. Kuma's father was a buccaneer, a race with giant's blood, considered natural-born slaves by the celestial dragons. Kuma himself was a half-blood, born from his father and a human woman. After the celestial dragons discovered their buccaneer identity, Kuma and his father became their slaves. During those days of slavery, Kuma's father told him the legend of Nika, the warrior of liberation from 800 years ago, who freed countless slaves and was hailed as the sun god, Nika. For Kuma, then a slave of the celestial dragons, this story was like a fantastical dream, a source of immense yearning. The buccaneer race had always revered Nika. Thus, the legend of Nika was passed down, deeply embedding itself in Kuma's heart. Unfortunately, the sound of his father telling him the legend of Nika annoyed a celestial dragon, and Kuma's father was killed for it. Later, during the God Valley incident, Kuma, along with Ivankov and Kuma's eternal source of pain, Jinny, became prey in the celestial dragon's human hunting tournament. During that hunting tournament, the sudden intrusion of the Rocks pirates completely changed Kuma's destiny. In the ensuing chaos, Ivankov obtained one of the tournament's prizes, the fish fruit model, Azure Dragon Devil fruit. While Kuma obtained the Pawpaw fruit. Though Charlotte Linlin later stole the Azure Dragon fruit from Ivankov, Kuma successfully ate the Pawpaw fruit. Relying on the Pawpaw fruit's power, Kuma saved over 500 slaves. And using that same power, Kuma, Ivankov, and Jinny successfully escaped from God Valley, beginning the happiest period of Kuma's life. During this time, Jinny even proposed to Kuma. But Kuma, knowing the buccaneer race was considered natural-born slaves by the celestial dragons, knew that if his bloodline were discovered, his children would also become slaves. Not wanting to burden Ginny, Kuma refused her proposal. Later, Kuma saw news reports about Monkey D. Dragon, then leader of the Freedom Fighters, the precursor to the Revolutionary Army. Seeing Dragon carrying out liberation movements across the world, Kuma was reminded of the legend of Nika, and felt he had found his life's purpose. Thus, Kuma, along with Ginny and Inkov, joined the Revolutionary Army, eventually becoming an officer. During these liberation movements, Kuma and Ginny often operated separately. During this time, Ginny was captured by a celestial dragon and forcibly taken as his wife, later giving birth to Jewelry Bonnie. 2 years after Ginny was taken, Kuma received a message from her, saying she had contracted a strange disease and been discarded by the celestial dragons, but begged him not to come looking for her. Kuma, guessing Ginny would return to the Sorbet Kingdom, used his pawpaw fruit ability to rush there. Upon arriving, Kuma found Ginny, her body encased in stone-like scales, already dead. He was grief-stricken, but promised Ginny he would care for Bonnie, thereafter raising Bonnie as his own daughter. Kuma then spent his days juggling caring for Bonnie and his liberation activities. Unfortunately, he discovered Bonnie had also contracted the same disease as Ginny. Sapphire scales. A disease that, according to doctors, was fatal before the age of 10. During this period, Kuma also liberated the Sorbet Kingdom, hailed as a one-man revolution. But the king of Sorbet Kingdom collaborated with a world government to capture Kuma. Kuma, using his pawpaw fruit, destroyed the entire arriving fleet. From then on, Kuma received a high bounty and the epithet Tyrant. Kuma continued searching for a cure for Bonnie's disease, eventually learning about Vegapunk from Dragon. Using his pawpaw fruit, Kuma met Vegapunk. To cure Bonnie, Kuma made a deal with Vegapunk. Vegapunk would cure Bonnie, and in return, Kuma would participate in Vegapunk's research experiments. Kuma also named the humanoid weapons Vegapunk created based on him pacifistas, another influence from his dream of Nika's liberation. Unfortunately, Kuma's conversation with Vegapunk was bugged by Saturn Saint of the Five Elders. Under Saturn Saint's threats, Kuma became one of the 7 warlords, and his body was to be fully converted into a humanoid weapon for the Navy, ultimately sacrificing all thought and self. He was forbidden from seeing Bonnie again before the modification was complete. Learning these conditions, Kuma, who had thought he only needed to provide blood for cloning, was not filled with fear or anger, but joy and tears. The original conditions had seemed too simple. Such harsh terms gave Kuma more confidence that Bonnie would truly be saved. Kuma requested that after Bonnie was cured, she be allowed to grow up peacefully in her own country. Saturn Saint agreed. Before Luffy set sail, Kuma, through conversations with Dragon, had guessed Luffy was Dragon's son. He had used his pawpaw fruit to observe Luffy's training from a distance, writing letters to Bonnie all the while. Wanting to use his final moments of consciousness to write down a lifetime's worth of affection for Bonnie. Tragically, all those letters were destroyed by world government agents monitoring Bonnie. And Bonnie lived in the pain of losing the man she considered her father. Now, with his consciousness on the verge of being completely erased, only 2 things remained that Kuma couldn't let go of: Bonnie, whom he regarded as his daughter, and the legend of sun god Nika. Kuma had once thought Dragon was the Nika of this era. But though Dragon was powerful, he didn't display the legendary powers of Nika. But now, Sky Sovereign Rowan had spoken of Nika's existence. How could Kuma not be emotional, not be utterly incredulous? This man, Sky Sovereign Rowan, had dimensionally crushed Marine headquarters in terms of intelligence. And he possessed deep knowledge of the world government's structure, knowing about the 5 elders and the God's Knights. Rowan held many secrets far beyond his years. The existence of Nika, coming from Rowan's mouth, held extremely high credibility. Do you know where Nika is? Kuma asked, his entire body trembling as he looked at Rowan. Nika? Isn't he right before your eyes? Rowan replied, looking at Kuma with a smile. Rowan, of course, knew everything about Kuma. Though his memories of Earth were somewhat distant, as an awakened ultimate human, Rowan could easily recall past memories perfectly. Kuma, who cherished Bonnie, the child born from his beloved's forced union with a celestial dragon, as his own daughter, willing to sacrifice himself, be modified into a mindless weapon, to save her. Whose final words were "Happy birthday, Bonnie." Was hailed by countless fans as a true man. Rowan greatly admired this man. Rowan knew of Kuma's devotion to Nika. To tell Kuma of Nika's existence before his consciousness was completely erased was a form of pirate romance. Nika? Is you? No, that's not right. Kuma instinctively thought of Rowan, but then dismissed it. Rowan, the world's strongest devil fruit user, the man who could steal everything, the world's most dangerous man, was certainly as mysterious as the legendary Nika, perhaps even more so. But he was very different from the legend of Nika. Nika was a warrior of liberation who brought laughter to others. His form and powers weren't like Sky Sovereign Rowan's, capable of using unlimited devil fruits. Sky Sovereign Rowan was hailed as the world's most vicious ability user. Not a warrior of liberation like Nika. Of course, it's not me. Rowan stated, then, along with the rest of the Straw Hat crew, looked towards Luffy. Shishishi. Even though Rowan says I'm Nika, I still don't really get what's going on. Luffy replied, sensing Rowan's different attitude towards Kuma, dropping his own hostility and grinning. Nika. Is Straw Hat? Kuma's entire body trembled. The legendary Nika had a rubbery body. So, it was the Gamu Gamu fruit? And Kuma knew. Straw Hat was Dragon's son. Dragon. Whom Kuma once believed was doing the same work as Nika, liberating various places. And Dragon's son. Was the true sun god Nika? How? How incredible. Kuma wanted to cry, but as a cyborg, he no longer had the right to weep. Human fruit model, sun god Nika devil fruit. Is the true name of the Gamu Gamu fruit. A name concealed and changed by the world government to hide Nika's existence. Only by digesting enough desire for liberation can this devil fruit awaken. Luffy will then descend upon this era. As the sun god, Rowan explained, seeing Kuma's expression, and smiled. The son of the man Kuma once followed, believing he was doing the same work as sun god Nika. Turned out to be the real sun god Nika, whom the Buccaneers had awaited and revered for centuries. This truly was the romance of the One Piece world. Desire for liberation. I see. Kuma now believed it completely. No wonder Rowan chose to join Straw Hat's crew. So, what Monkey D. Luffy ate was the incarnation of Nika. Once awakened, he would be sun god Nika. To know of Nika's existence before my consciousness completely disappears is truly a great fortune. Kuma managed to curve his lips into a semblance of a smile. As a full cyborg now, even this simple action was difficult. Monkey D. Luffy. Kuma said, turning to Luffy. Luffy looked back at Kuma. My true identity is an officer of the Revolutionary Army. The leader of the Revolutionary Army is your father, Monkey D. Dragon. He is the man I respect most. Kuma revealed this bombshell. Eh? Everyone hearing this stared wide-eyed, gasping in shock. I have a father? Luffy blinked. He also understood now why Rowan hadn't attacked this warlord. So he's one of my dad's subordinates. What's wrong, everyone? Luffy asked, looking at the shocked crew. Ah, idiot. You don't know the name Dragon? Sanji's eye twitched. Your father is very famous. Nami exclaimed, equally shocked. Grandfather is marine hero Monkey D. Garp. Father is revolutionary leader Monkey D. Dragon. Pirate role model is Emperor Red-Haired Shanks. Oi, Luffy. Your background is too damn exaggerated. Usopp couldn't help but yell, his eyes nearly popping out. You forgot one thing. Zoro commented, smiling at Usopp. He's also the idiot acknowledged by Rowan. Zoro grinned fiercely. That's right. What an exaggerated background. Usopp nodded repeatedly. Rowan was now a new emperor of the seas, on the same level as Shanks. I don't get it. But none of that matters. I'm the man who will be king of the pirates. Just remember that. Luffy grinned at Kuma. I see. Seeing Luffy's infectious smile, Kuma's own forced smile became much more natural. He seemed to understand now why both Nika and Sky Sovereign Rowan chose this man. Since even you are so certain. It seems Nika will really descend upon this era. Kuma smiled. Using the bond of faith between the Buccaneer race and Nika as a conduit. Loading Pawpaw Fruit ability. Pawpaw Fruit ability. Equipping complete. The Pawpaw Fruit ability. That bug-level devil fruit was now obtained by Rowan. Pawpaw Fruit. A good ability. Rowan commented, casually patting Luffy. Whoosh. Some of the latent injuries Luffy had accumulated during his training were instantly repelled from his body. Whoa. So light. Luffy exclaimed, feeling the change in his body. Pawpaw Fruit? Kuma, witnessing his own ability used on him by Rowan, in this unbelievable, up-close manner, was so shocked his sunglasses nearly fell off. Don't be surprised. As long as you and the Buccaneer race still believe in Nika, I can obtain your power. Rowan smiled. The One Piece power system was based on spiritual power at its core. Whether devil fruits or haki, both were manifestations of spiritual power. With a sufficient spiritual power conduit, the strongest trait system could load all of a target's powers. This was also how Rowan could directly use spiritual power to help his comrades train their haki and devil fruit abilities. The Pawpaw Fruit's ability was now Rowan's. Likewise, all the locations Kuma could repel people to were also replicated for Rowan. All those locations, excellent for training, were now known to Rowan, and he could send his comrades there any time with the Pawpaw Fruit. Unbelievable. Kuma murmured. Though he still didn't understand the exact principle, from these few words, Kuma could sense the scary and incredible nature of this man. Kuma. Would you like to witness Nika's appearance with your own eyes? Rowan asked, dropping another bombshell on Kuma. Kuma was completely stunned. Chapter 174, 174, Bonus, What Does It Mean to Be a Pirate? Understanding Life and Death. Kuma trembled uncontrollably. Nika was the faith of the buccaneer race. As a descendant, Kuma had inherited this belief, revering Nika since childhood. His joining the Revolutionary Army, his activities of liberation, were all influenced by his faith in the sun god, Nika. To learn, just before his consciousness faded completely, that dragon sun was the Nika of this era. Kuma felt immensely content, incredibly fortunate. And to actually witness Nika's descent with his own eyes. A fanatical light burned in Kuma's eyes. Faith, in any world, was the most fervent of emotions. Rowan, I can't awaken yet. I've almost finished digesting the desire for liberation you gave me. Luffy stated, sensing Kuma's fervent emotion, scratching his head. Luffy, too, was desperate to awaken. He didn't know much about Nika or care for the legend of the sun god. But the human fruit model, sun god Nika devil fruit, was, according to Rowan, the strongest devil fruit. Once awakened, he would truly become one of the most powerful individuals on these seas. Whether to become king of the pirates or to help Rowan become the man who stood above all. Luffy desperately needed this power. But he couldn't awaken just because he wanted to. The conditions weren't met. No matter how hard Luffy tried, it was impossible. I wasn't talking about now. Have you forgotten the power of the revive fruit? Rowan asked with a knowing smile. The revive fruit? Doesn't that only work on people after they've died? The crew all looked towards Kuma. Rowan's words immediately reminded them of Crocodile and Enel, now serving Rowan from the underworld. Speaking of which, what did you mean earlier when you said you were about to lose consciousness? Sanji keenly picked up on the key point, looking at Kuma. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. Sanji added, sensing Kuma's sudden emotional turmoil. No, it's fine. Sky Sovereign Rowan has been honest with me. What need is there for me to hide anything? Kuma took a deep breath. Sky Sovereign Rowan had no reason to tell him any of this. Even if it was for the pawpaw fruit, Rowan had countless other ways to obtain it. He didn't need to go to this trouble. For Rowan to so directly tell him the great secret of Nika, fulfilling one of his greatest wishes. If Kuma hid anything now, he would despise himself. Soon, Kuma recounted everything that had happened to him, including the connection between the buccaneer race and sun god Nika. Kuma. You're a real man. Frankie wailed, moved to tears, patting Kuma's massive frame. I never imagined the warlord known as Tyrant had such a past. Sanji commented, deeply moved. Kuma's tenderness towards a child who wasn't his own, whom his beloved had with another. It reminded Sanji of his own childhood, filling him with emotion. A man like this truly deserves to be called a father. Sorry. I can't awaken right now, so I can't let you see Nika. Luffy said, also wanting to help this man fulfill his wish, but unfortunately lacking the strength. But with Rowan here, you can see me awaken later, even after you die. Shishishi. Luffy grinned, uttering the most morbidly cheerful statement. But Luffy didn't see it as morbid. This was the man who could smile in the face of his own execution and say, looks like I'm dead. Besides, with Rowan's devil fruit abilities, even after Kuma died, Rowan could find him in the underworld. After I die? Kuma stared, stunned. That's right. Rowan's revive fruit and door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit abilities combined allow him to freely travel to the underworld and bring souls back. Rowan is a man of the underworld. Don't worry about dying, Rowan can bring you back. Nami declared proudly, puffing out her chest. Words might not make sense. Let me just show you. Rowan said, looking towards the lifeless Moria. The shadows had all returned to their owners. Yo-oh! My shadow is back. Brook exclaimed excitedly, looking at the shadow at his feet. Come forth. Whoosh. Rowan opened an air door. He reached in and pulled out a sword. That's... Zoro's pupils constricted sharply. A blade with an irregular Rochoji Madare Hammon, temper line, black-purple scabbard, with a red soft pattern. One of the 21 great grade swords, and a black blade, just like Mihawk's Yoru. Shujui, Rowan stated, unsheathing Shujui with a smile. The national treasure of Wano. And the second known black blade, besides Yoru. Even among the 21 great grade swords, this blade was top tier. However, Shujui wasn't a black blade forged by Zoro himself. The process of a swordsman forging a black blade was akin to a martial artist forging their iron fists. Creating their own ultimate, personalized weapon. A black blade could only unleash its full 100% power in the hands of its creator. Shushui was destined to be a transitional sword for Zoro, to be traded later for Enma, a blade better suited for him. Take it. Rowan tossed Shushui to Zoro. Zoro caught it, examining it intently. For a swordsman, a good sword was incredibly alluring. And a black blade, like Mihawk's. And one of the 21 great grade swords, like Wadokamaji. A black blade needs to be forged by the swordsman himself, only in the creator's hands can it unleash its full power. But even so, Shushui is among the best of the great grade swords. It will make you stronger. Replace Yubashiri with it, Rowan instructed. Zoro's current swords were Wadokamaji, great grade, and Yubashiri and Sandai Kaitetsu, both skillful grade. In the original story, Yubashiri was destroyed during the Anai's Lobby arc by the Rust Fruit user. But in this timeline, an enemy of that level wouldn't even be qualified to stand before Zoro. Conqueror's Haki would easily deal with him. So Yubashiri was still intact. But now, it was falling behind Zoro's strength. Sandai Kaitetsu, being a cursed sword, synergized with Zoro's Azura aura, making it stronger than Yubashiri. So, replacing Yubashiri was the only choice. I understand. Zoro nodded. If you don't give up some things, you'll end up with nothing. This was an ironclad rule of the sea. A resolve required of any strong warrior. Yubashiri could no longer keep pace with him, nor with the path Rowan was forging. Replacing it was necessary. I'll place Yubashiri in storage. When I reach the pinnacle of the world's swordsman, this famed blade I once wielded will also have its own fame across the seas. Rowan also smiled. The resolve of his comrades needed no questioning. They would follow in his footsteps, helping him become the king who stood above all. Moria was weak, but he had quite a few good things. The clear fruit, the black blade Shushui, his warlord fortune that awakened the flare fruit. And the shadow fruit. Blunder. Rowan acquired Moria's shadow fruit. Moria's current strength was insufficient to provide any significant boost to Rowan's physique or haki. Moria-sama. Perona, the only remaining of the three subordinates, sobbed sorrowfully. Perona was adopted by Moria as a child. Among the three, she was the most loyal. Seeing Moria die, Perona was heartbroken. Negative hollow. Perona activated her devil fruit ability. Poof. But her strength was negligible. Not just before Rowan, but even before Zoro and the others, she was completely helpless. The negative hollows were instantly shattered by haki. However, whoosh. The haki defenses around Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy were suddenly dispelled by a flicker of crimson black lightning. 3 negative hollows passed through their bodies. I'm so pathetic. I wish I could just crawl into a hole. Luffy wailed, sprawled on the ground. I should never have been born into this world. Zoro lay on the ground. I'm less than a fish. Sanji sobbed. Ha 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 ha. Rowan burst into mischievous laughter. Once haki was breached, the human body couldn't resist this special devil fruit ability. Oi? Zoro and Sanji, recovering, transformed into their sharp-toothed angry states, completely mortified. Sorry. But it really was hilarious. Rowan laughed until tears streamed down his face. I should never have been born into this world. I'm less than a fish. Usopp began his imitation show, mimicking them while laughing hysterically. Glare. Gag. 2 gazes, burning with tangible, fiery rage, fixed on Usopp from behind, making him break out in a cold sweat. Usopp. Zoro and Sanji loomed over him with terrifying smiles. Wham. Bam. Thump. Sorry. I got carried away. Usopp pleaded, covered in bumps. Ha ha ha. Your willpower is weak. Even a pervert like me. Frankie began to boast, but a negative hollow passed through his body. The whole world is laughing at me. Frankie knelt, sobbing. Ha 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 ha. Rowan laughed until his sides hurt. The hollow fruit was perhaps Frankie's ultimate counter. As a cyborg, awakening haki was nearly impossible for him, leaving him with no defense against such non-physical attacks. Ha ha ha. Luffy, recovered, laughed at Frankie. Bastard. Shut up. Frankie, face red, lunged at Luffy. Everyone roared with laughter. An ability like this was now just a source of amusement for them. You killed Moria-sama, who was so kind to me. And you're laughing so happily. You heartless monsters. Perona cried, berating Rowan and the crew. Hey. Did you misunderstand something? Rowan's smile faded, looking at Perona. I have no interest in the past life of someone I've killed. As a pirate, when you set out to sea, you must be prepared to be killed by other pirates. Did you think being a pirate was playing house? Boom. Terrifying crimson black lightning flashed, making the very sky oil. The crew also stopped their antics, looking at Perona with their villain expressions. They were real pirates. The resolve to kill and be killed was made the moment they boarded this ship. Eep. Perona trembled fearfully. All right. The demonstration continues, Rowan said, turning to Kuma. Whoosh. The revive fruit and door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit activated simultaneously. Whoosh. His right hand, wreathed in underworld power, reached into the air door, pulling out a soul. After entering the underworld once, Rowan had left a trace of his revive fruit's power there as a coordinate, allowing him to communicate with his door fruit model, dimensional gate devil fruit. He no longer needed to personally enter the underworld to retrieve souls. Is this Moria's soul? Brooke, as a revive fruit user, could hear what Moria's soul was saying. Moria was utterly shocked. Moria-sama? Perona covered her mouth, staring at the soul in Rowan's hand. Stop struggling. You can't return to your body even if you wanted to. You're not a revive fruit user. Rowan stated calmly with a smile. Well? Feeling enlightened after experiencing death, Moria? Rowan asked calmly. So. This is what death is. Moria's soul pulsed with a complex emotion. Death wasn't something one could understand through imagination. Just as a revive user, only after truly dying and returning from the underworld, could grasp the meaning of death and the underworld, and begin to use their fruit's power. Only by truly experiencing death could one understand what life represented. How precious it was. And how he, before, had been a walking corpse. Thank you. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Moria's soul pulsed. After experiencing death and returning to this world, Moria finally understood how pathetic he had become. Some people lived, but their souls were long dead. Now, though he had experienced death, he finally understood life. Become part of my soul legion, Moria. Rowan declared with a hearty laugh. Moria's potential was quite decent. He was a man who dared to contend with Kaido. Pity he fell into despair, becoming a walking corpse. Now, with his soul revived, he could be made into a Hami, a member of the Soul Legion. Moria's soul pulsed in acceptance. He would fight for Sky Sovereign Rowan. Chapter 175, The Legacy of Life. A child for Rowan? Perona joins. Moria-sama. Seeing Moria's soul fluctuate with emotion, Perona bit her lip. Among known devil fruits dealing with souls, Perona's hollow fruit was prominent. The ghosts created by the hollow fruit were completely immune to physical attacks, and even elemental attacks couldn't harm them. Only powerful Haki could dispel them. The user could even project their own soul, much like a revive fruit user. Both fruits enhanced the user's soul. Though the hollow fruit couldn't infuse soul energy into attacks like the revive fruit, nor grant absolute control over souls like the soul fruit. It could still perceive the general meaning and emotion of soul fluctuations. Perona could sense the life and excitement radiating from Moria's soul. Having been raised by Moria since childhood, Perona had witnessed his decline after his crushing defeat by Kaido. Though Moria's body was alive then, his soul seemed to have already died. But now, though his body was dead, his soul seemed to be truly alive again. Only by experiencing death could one understand it, and grasp the true meaning of life. Moria now understood how foolish his previous mindset had been. The idea that because living things are eventually lost, only death is eternal. Without Sky Sovereign Rowan, he would have died without ever understanding life and death. After all, without Rowan's devil fruit ability, death simply meant entering the underworld, never to return to the mortal world. And between life and death, there were great revelations. Moria felt his very soul had grown stronger. Once I defeat Big Mom and obtain the soul fruit, I can use other soul energies to strengthen the souls of my soul legion. Rowan mused. Perona. Moria's soul floated over to Perona's side, radiating spiritual fluctuations. Moria-sama. Perona whispered, her eyes reddening. For Perona, who had been raised by Moria since childhood, he was more than just a captain, he was like a father. Though Moria had always sheltered Perona, lost in his own painful memories and decline, he had never truly shown the paternal warmth Kuma showed Bonnie. But now, Moria looked upon this little girl he had raised as his own daughter. The continuation of life. Moria thought of this phrase he had once scoffed at. But now, Moria cherished the continuation of life above all else. Don't be sad, Perona. I have been reborn. Gishishishi. Moria's soul pulsed. Only Rowan could accurately interpret these soul fluctuations. Perona and Brooke could only sense the general meaning and emotion. Rowan translated Moria's exact words for Perona, emitting the signature laugh. Reborn. Congratulations, Moria-sama, Perona replied. Her hatred towards Rowan for killing Moria completely vanished, replaced even with a sense of gratitude. Sky Sovereign Rowan gave Moria-sama a new life. Oh. If Moria-sama could be put inside Kumi, and become Kumi to stay with me, that would be perfect? Perona blinked her large, doll-like eyes, exclaiming with delight. Gag. Moria's soul instantly froze. Perona loved gloomy environments and had a fondness for zombies, especially cute animal-shaped ones. Kumi, a cute little teddy bear zombie, was Perona's favorite. With Moria's death and the release of the shadow fruit's power, Kumi had reverted to an ordinary teddy bear. Become a little teddy bear. What kind of sick joke was this? Moria's soul fluctuated violently. And no? Perona blinked her large, doll-like eyes, looking at Moria's soul with a pitiful expression. Of course, it's no problem. Gishishishi. Moria instantly abandoned his principles. Seeing Perona now, Moria truly felt as if she were his own daughter. And having experienced death, Moria's affection for Perona now came from the very depths of his soul. That's great. Perona cheered happily. Moria sees her as his own daughter. This is the legacy of life. Kuma commented. Seeing them reminded Kuma of Bonnie, whom he also regarded as his own daughter. In Bonnie, Kuma also saw the continuation of his beloved Ginny's life. And though Bonnie wasn't his biological daughter, she was the continuation of his soul and consciousness. Life eventually ends, but such legacies never break. Just like the legend of Nika. A smile, more natural than before, appeared on Kuma's face, usually stiff from his cyborg modifications. Seeing this tender moment between souls, Nami, Vivi, and Robin's eyes all shone. Kuma was undoubtedly a great father. And Moria, after experiencing life and death, also showed the warmth of a father. Then, what would Rowan be like as a father? Nami, Vivi, and Robin's gazes all subconsciously shifted to Rowan. Not just Nami and Vivi. Even the most mature Robin felt her cheeks flush. But thinking of that warm, familial image in their minds, Nami, Vivi, and Robin's eyes all filled with a sense of longing. Rowan, of course, couldn't miss the emotional fluctuations of the three women. He could even analyze the meaning behind those emotions. Before an ultimate human, anyone without sufficiently strong Haki couldn't hide their thoughts and feelings from his enhanced intellect. Super strong observation Haki combined with the awakened human fruits ability essentially granted a form of mind reading. Having children. Rowan smiled. In both his past and present lives, Rowan had never even been married, let alone had children. But seeing Kuma's devotion to Bonnie, and Moria's to Perona, Rowan also felt a longing for a life with children. But now was not the time to consider such things. Rowan's eyes shone with unprecedented determination. Until he completely overthrew the world government, became the king who stood above all. Even what he possessed now could be mere illusions. Only with absolute power could he protect everything he held dear. This was a truth Rowan had understood long ago. An ironclad rule of this sea. Rowan-sama. Could I ask you to take care of Perona? I will fight for you with all my might. Moria's soul pulsed. His soul reborn, Moria was no longer the broken, walking corpse who had lost to Kaido. He felt as if he had returned to the spirited era when he dared to contend with Kaido himself. But for his daughter, Perona, Moria was ready to completely submit to the man before him. As a hollow fruit user, Perona wasn't weak. However, Moria, having experienced the cruelty of the New World, knew well that with Perona's strength, she couldn't survive long on the seas alone. And after his death, Perona, who had previously been sheltered by his warlord title, would likely be targeted by many. But if she boarded Rowan's ship, it would be entirely different. On these seas now, no one would risk challenging this man. The world government's order forbidding engagement with Rowan was the best proof. Even the four emperors wouldn't rashly start a war with him. Under Rowan's protection, Perona would be absolutely safe. Besides, Rowan had helped him achieve a new life, freeing him from his walking corpse-like existence. Submitting to Rowan wasn't shameful. It might even be Moria's honor. Moria-sama. Perona blinked her large, doll-like eyes. Join the Straw Hats? Perona looked towards Rowan, this incredibly scary man. But at this moment, Perona didn't find him scary. In fact, the smile on his face felt warm. Ruthless as the king of hell towards his enemies, but warm as the sun towards his comrades. Perona pressed her lips together. Moria had clearly joined Sky Sovereign Rowan's side. And only with Rowan's power could Moria return to this world. Perona wasn't stupid. In fact, she was quite clever.